Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. Jim has already hit up our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHunting.com. 10 minutes ago, he was listening to I Can't Go For That, No Can Do by Hall & Oates. So hard to start your day much better than that. Way to go, Jim. Joe Rexrode, what's going on? How we doing? This is extended mute from Rexrode. Michelle, how are you doing? We'll get Rexrode figured out.
I'm doing good, Rob.
I don't think that's a mute. Sorry. Yeah, that's not a mute. That's Robo Joe in action already.
Robo Joe in action very early on this morning. Michelle, how are you doing this morning?
Doing good, guys, this morning. Actually pretty warm out. Not too bad in Nashville. Also,
not bad.
Before I forget, I have to give a quick shout out. Grandpa turned 92 yesterday. Big birthday in the books.
Very nice. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. That's good stuff. Nice edition of Courtside with Campbell and Knezovic on Saturday morning. And later that day, you had a Kentucky win to discuss.
Robby,
Kentucky gets it done against Alabama.
I was stressed, actually. So Elijah and I were in studio. And Nick, our intern, too, he was there also. We were watching the game. We watched the first half, and they were down by 10, and they had their backcourt was out. And I was like, oh, gosh, here we go. It's happening again. It's all happening again. And then, they made a run. They were leading at halftime. It was pretty crazy, and then they ended up winning by 10. And I was very, 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 very happy.
There's some big shots in that game. I got to catch the tail end of that game for Kentucky against Alabama, and Kentucky made some big shots coming down the stretch. That's a big win. And John Calipari talked about that after the game. He said, maybe the Kansas win, number one, the way they played against Tennessee at home, number two, but that one against Alabama right there. Well, it's a pretty big win for your Cats, I will say.
Wow, Rob, I really appreciate the Kentucky basketball love this morning. Also, I don't know if you heard, but I gave major shout-outs to you and Joe at the beginning of Courtside, talking about how I'd wear the orange this week or last week. So, you did hear.
Absolutely. I absolutely heard. Joe Rexrode, do we have you back in the program?
Okay, I've moved much closer to my grandma's router. Of course, this now means that my son on the couch over here is about to be a participant in the show.
Sorry, Jack.
Yeah, he'll be fine. But I missed whose birthday is it? The shout out.
My grandpa. Well, it was yesterday, but 92.
Oh man, awesome. Happy birthday.
Good stuff.
They got lost in cyberspace for me. So I think it's good. No robo on your end.
No, you're good.
No, you're good, Joe.
It's good stuff.
There we go.
The Vols lose to Arkansas on Saturday, which I thought was a little predictable heading into that game. We talked about it in Call Your Shot Friday and weekend winners on Friday. Vols fall in Arkansas. Joe, I'll be honest with you. I watched about 9 to 10 minutes of that game, and that's all that I could stomach watching that game. Between the offensive fouls, the charges left and right, the poor shooting, I guess you could call it really good defense. I couldn't do it. Could not do it on Saturday.
It was, I mean, look, these are not the best. The college basketball has these games sometimes where, it is defense, but it's also the inability to overcome good defense and just make shots, which is what it's a broken record. It's a broken record for me at this point. I'll tweet about it during the game. I'll cry about it. Sometimes on here, I'll cry about it. If an offensive player elevates or is on his way to the basket and a defensive player slides into where he's going to land, you cannot reward the defensive player with an offensive foul, and yet that's rewarded, I don't know, 80% of the time. I mean, it's infuriating. It actually makes the game more dangerous. It makes the game a lot less fun too. Essentially you're taking someone doing something athletic and you're rewarding the person for doing pretty much the least athletic thing you can do, which is just go stand somewhere and fall over.
Yep.
I don't know why we can't get to a point where college basketball is officiated like the NBA. where, look, if you get in position or if an offensive player is out of control, this is great. I mean, offensive fouls have a place in the game. In college basketball, it is, and they still added the flop rule, and it still doesn't matter. They have the flop rule so they'll every once in a while they give you a flop warning in a game where they just got suckered in on like 8 flops. It's maddening. And that game was, and certainly it was, in this particular instance, the Vols got hit with it more. And look, it's also a home court thing too. It really is. I mean, these block charge or the close out of bounds stuff, how often does the official go with the home team on that? I think way too much. So it's got to get better, but it's not very good.
It's got to get better. And that was kind of the theme from Rick Barnes after the game. Said, quote, "There was just no flow to that basketball game whatsoever. None." And Rick Barnes later says, quote, "I hope they got those calls right. I do. I really do. I really, really do." That was the quote from Rick Barnes at the end of the day there.
And look, say what you want to say about Rick Barnes. He very rarely talks officials.
He does.
I mean, he very rarely talks officials. I can't remember too many instances of him even bring. Usually, it's like, yeah, there was a couple calls that didn't go our way, but if they lost a game, we got to overcome that. But this was like actually visibly agitated by the refs.
Yeah. So Tennessee falls to Arkansas. We'll see if they can respond later this week and get back in the winning ways. Big win for Vanderbilt over the weekend as well. How about the Doors? Their 14th win of the year.
Well, yeah, look, it was a big win because they were up 10 in the second half on Texas A&M. They give up the lead, and then they have to come back, make some huge plays. Liam Robbins 14-8. So now you started. There's the offense. I mean, he makes a difference. Pippen 24, but even like Tyron Lawrence with some huge steals. Jordan Wright with a big time step through bucket. So look, 14-10, 6-8. They got a real chance, one, to not be playing on the first day of the SEC tournament.
Yep.
Which would be a big deal. And I think they got I think they needed to win at least one of Tennessee or Auburn on the road for anybody to really talk bubble. I mean, anybody could make a run here in Tampa, and make a run toward a bid. But I think the NIT is a real strong possibility now, and that would be good for that team. Certainly overachieving relative to being picked last in the SEC.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. And then you have Auburn starting to struggle a little bit. They were in just a fight with Georgia last week. Vanderbilt started off really well against Auburn. Auburn ultimately pulls away in that game. And then they fall and go down to Florida, a Florida team that has been really inconsistent this year. Florida gets a big win. And, they weren't even in the first 4 out, according to most people in this game. They were in the next 4 out. And then Florida gets this big win against Auburn. That's a huge win for the Gators. And it looks like Auburn's teetering a little bit, especially when they go on the road. 2 shaky performances on the last 2 games on the road in Georgia and Florida. Yeah,
when they get it rolling, they are fun and they are overwhelming at times. I mean, they got possibly the number 1 pick, and they've got, I think, a pretty good chance at a lottery pick in Walker Kessler, and then a lot of other talent. The guards are, it's just, you can see where one bad day in this NCAA tournament, it could end early for them. Those guys are a little bit out of control at times, and then defensively, they're like, especially if they don't have Kessler on the floor, I think he erases a lot of mistakes on defense for them. So they got a lot of things to figure out going down the stretch, but that's huge for Florida. I mean, Florida now, that's the type of thing really for the SEC. It's like you're helping one of your bubble teams get in. Maybe they got new life on the NCAA tournament front for sure.
Did you see the brawl after the game yesterday between Michigan and Wisconsin? That was
yes.
That was pretty nuts. Greg Gard and Juwan Howard meeting together in the post-game handshake line, and they start jabbering at each other, and all of a sudden everyone gathers in, and Juwan Howard is taking swings at a Wisconsin assistant coach there, and before you know it, there's a full-scale brawl out there between Michigan and Wisconsin. That was quite something, and the reaction to Juwan Howard has not been great since that game.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I think he deserves, plenty of criticism and reaction. This isn't the first time for him. Last year, he totally lost it about Mark Turgeon, at the Big Ten tournament. I mean, he's in a little bit of not being able to control himself here in some of these moments. But I've also seen a lot of people say he should be fired. I don't agree with that. Like, I've seen a lot of people make the Woody Hayes comparison. Woody Hayes closed fist punched a player several times, like that. That's not the same as basically what he did was slap a Wisconsin assistant coach. He should be and he will be suspended. I don't see how this is fireable or really apples to apples at all to like Woody Hayes. But boy, it's setting a bad example for sure. And it just, I also feel like there's some people who are saying like Greg Gard is equally responsible. To me, it looked like Greg Gard was just kind of trying to explain himself because Juwan Howard was basically walked by, said something to him, and Greg Gard said, hold on, because it was all about this timeout late. Call it timeout late because Michigan was pressing late. Now, look, could you still just say whatever, inbound the ball? If they steal the ball, they can score. You know what I mean? Is it really that important? No. But Michigan, usually the other team that's down double figures at that point backs away and says, fine, let them inbound the ball, dribble out, let's get home. And they were still pressing. So he called a timeout to reset the 10-second, and they wouldn't, that whole thing is, it's not worth the anger that resulted from it, but then there's always, you don't know what all goes on, or if there's had been past issues or what was said by Krabbenhoft, and who knows. There's a lot to pick through. But Juwan Howard, you can't do that. You can't do stuff like that at all. And then you got some serious swinging from some players. You're going to have some Michigan players and possibly Wisconsin players suspended here too.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's any question about it. I think there will be some suspensions coming. I would not be surprised to see that today from the Big Ten. So we'll see what happens on that front. We are off and running today here on Robby and Rexrode, taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. When we come back, is it time to be concerned about the Nashville Predators after they drop yet another game over the weekend? We'll get into that coming up on the other side. You can add a little excitement to your sports watching experience and make every moment more by betting on all the action on FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. The app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, fun bet types like the same game parlay, and exclusive always-on promotions such as enhanced odds boosts on the biggest events to let you get more action out of every game day. And I said the Predators, it's NHL season. They got a big game coming up against Florida on Tuesday. I think I'm going to go with the Panthers in that game, but you take it any way you want to take it. Just place a bet on any game. FanDuel will refund you up to $1,000 back if this is your first time betting on FanDuel Sportsbook. If you've never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, what are you waiting on? Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Get started using promo code ROB so they know that I sent you. Once again, that promo code is Rob. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued is not withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Rookie Austin Cindric wins the 64th running of the Daytona 500, and you heard it here.
Here they come, Cindric trying to squeeze Blaney into the fence, and at age 23, Austin Cindric has scored the Daytona 500 win.
Your home for NASCAR.
ESPN.
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Shop today at Social Furniture during their President's Day sale. You'll find everything for your home on sale now. They have same-day delivery for your convenience and pay nothing down today. Use Social Furniture financing plan and pay no interest for 1 full year. For a limited time, they have designer sofas, solid wood bedroom furniture, leather sofas, and sectionals in stock now. They can deliver any size mattress the same day during their President's Day sale going on now through President's Day. Social Furniture on Charlotte Avenue in West Nashville. Shop local. Shop social.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe of Darren, Donick, and Chase. I started my radio career as an intern right here at ESPN 1025 The Game. Now we're looking for our next great batch of interns. You think that's you? Send your resume to together@cromwellmedia.com to apply today.
From executive producers of Lost.
Maybe we missed the sign for the highway.
We didn't miss the sign.
A new Epix original series.
Where are we?
It's important for you to understand what happens after dark.
You're telling me I can't leave and that every night monsters come from the forest.
You saw those things outside.
Maybe I can come in.
Get these people home, Sheriff.
Do everything I can.
From Watch Now, only on Epix. Get the channel or the app.
Hi, I'm Flo from Progressive. Being a baseball fanatic like me can be stressful. It's not all sports points and touchdowns. So Progressive is going to help you take your mind off your team for a moment. Instead of thinking about how they missed that goal point score, think about the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, letting you choose coverage options based on your budget, unlike your team that missed the end zone net area. Well, anyway, hope this distraction about Progressive's Name Your Price tool was helpful. It sure kept me from thinking about all those penalty balls. Yay, sports!
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Interact with Robby and Rexrode. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Go to GameNashville.com/deals to check out Nashville's best deals. Right there are deals from everything from half off the Woodhouse Spa, half off dining at the Mainstay and Hard Rock Cafe, half off the Brooklyn Bowl, plus $50 free with a purchase of $100 in downtown dollars. You can check out all of Nashville's best deals now at the GameNashville.com/deals. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Joe, another tough loss for the Nashville Predators over the weekend. They fall 5-3 in Carolina. It was a game where they just couldn't get much going offensively for the most part, and Carolina was suffocating like they typically are. They're up 4-1 in the game. All of a sudden you turn around and the Predators have some fight. They make it 4-3, and then Carolina adds an empty netter as well. So that is now 4 consecutive losses for the Nashville Predators. And you know, we talked a couple of weeks ago about how, according to moneypuck.com, the Predators had around a 95% chance to make the playoff. They've dropped 4 games since then, have come out of the All-Star break, and that percentage has dropped down to 61.7. So you've gone from about a 95% chance to make the playoffs to 61.7%. You're still sitting in a decent spot if you're the Predators, but you've dropped 4 in a row. You look at the standings right now. I mean, you're holding on to that first wild card spot by a point against LA at the moment, and you're now 4 points up on the Stars, who dropped 1 yesterday against Arizona. Anytime you drop 1 against Arizona, that's not good. So the Coyotes gave the Predators some help yesterday. But Joe, at this point, what's your concern level now that the Predators have lost 4 consecutive games and they've got the red-hot Florida Panthers staring them in the face coming up on Tuesday?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I can put a number on it. Like on a scale of 1 to 100 concern level right now. I guess I'd put it, you know, right around the middle, right in the 50s. I don't think it's, I mean, look, they've played a tough schedule. They came out the break. They have had some issues to work out. Teams go through streaks. They go through winning streaks. They go through losing streaks. Unless you're an overwhelmingly good team, you're going to have a couple rough patches in a season. I think the concern level is, you know, that they, like, there's no rest here. You know, now you get Florida after this. We talked about it last week. This is going to be a heck of a stretch. You better get those home games. Better get that home game against Washington. Didn't do it. Played well. Really, that's probably the best game they've played of the bunch here.
I agree.
But didn't get it done. And I mean, look, Thursday is going to be huge, whether they win or lose against Florida. But I say it gets a little bit more intense with Pecorino night and everything else that goes with it. You know, if they're sitting there carrying a 5-game losing streak into this game, which the way they're playing and the way Florida's playing, certainly that would be, you know, that would be the thing that would be expected. So it's getting to the point where, you know, you've got to figure out a way to get a win. I mean, I think either way, Thursday is going to be, and that's just going to be an interesting thing. Again, you get Stadium Series right after that, and you have all the pomp and circumstance of this game. How does this team, you know, handle that? Does that all energize them, or does that become a big distraction?
Let's go to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Ryan from Hermitage, who wants to weigh in. Ryan, thanks for calling into Robby and Rexrode.
Morning, guys.
if you look at the past teams they've been playing, take away Dallas, all the teams have one thing in common. They're all fast. They're all get to the net, get as fast as you can to the net. Preds lost Nick Cousins, and who they pull up? They pull up Cole Smith. That's not going to cut it right now if you're on a losing streak. I know Hines likes his size guys, but to play, you need someone to play Tomasino has a skill aspect. Cody Glass is doing good. Rocco's doing good. You need some scoring on this team. Physicality is just not working anymore with these teams because they're just skating right past them, and Frederick is looking crazy on the ice trying to catch up.
Hey, thanks for the call, Ryan. We appreciate it. I mean, look, I don't know that that's the direct issue that they're dealing with right now. I mean, I do think that they have played some fast teams. Carolina is a fast team. I think part of what makes Carolina hard to handle is they are fast and they are physical, and that we talked about that on Friday, heading into the game. The way that Carolina plays the game, they're tough to handle. I will say, and, Alex Doherty of A to Z Sports has been beating this drum too, and I agree with him. I think it's time to move Philip Tomasino around and see what he can do with some skilled players, because if you take a deep dive into the numbers, Tomasino is doing a pretty good job of creating chances, and he's played on the fourth line for the most part. Like they got to find a way to get some goals going right now, because Philip Forsberg hasn't scored. Excuse me, he did score the other night. So it's one of those things now where they've got to find a way to get consistent offense going. We've talked about the Johansson line ad nauseum. They got to find a way to get him going at 5-on-5 and play some wingers with him that can give him a consistent chance to be productive. I don't know that the problem is Cole Smith. Now, Ryan brought up some guys. Cody Glass is playing well down in Milwaukee. Rocco is playing really well down in Milwaukee as well. I'm not going to rule it out that we could see, one or two of those guys come up as they move down the stretch here. But I think it's more about, number one, the penalties. You still got to stop taking them. The penalty kill when you have taken penalties has not been as good lately as it's needed to be. And number two, you've got to find a way to dig deep at this point. The question that I have is this just a bad patch that they're going through right now? Or is this maybe turning into what they really are going on right now? That's the question I want to know the answer to.
Yeah, well, and I've certainly seen some people say, "Oh, see, it was all a mirage." I feel like what they've done this year, over 50 games or so, or what they did over the first 45 games. Again, it wasn't all the same thing. They had some patches. I think that's enough of a sample size to look at that and say, okay, that's what they are, right? I don't think they've been playing way above their heads here this season. I just think a lot of things have worked out for them. Now, the one thing there is, and we said it during the good times too, is okay, are the top guys going to keep producing like that? That's obviously a necessity. But I think you're onto something for sure. And we've talked about this too, even when they were winning, okay, you got to get that secondary scoring going. I mean, some of their best hockey this year has been played, like with Ellie Tolvin, and producing very little. I mean, he just hasn't produced much. But Tomasino, that's an interesting idea and point. I mean, what would be the downside of doing that, of trying him up there at this point?
Well, I think the downside is I don't know that he's ready yet defensively. I mean, he's still, and I talked about this the other day, I think you're getting close to the point where this is the time of year where you start to get pushed around a little bit if you can't bring that physicality to the table. And look, it's just, I've made the Forsberg comparison a lot. They're two completely different players, but early in his career when Forsberg came up, that was kind of the problem, was he got pushed around in the D zone. He couldn't win puck battles on the wall. And I think Tomasino has done a decent job with that so far, but you can tell that, and Poyle's talked about this on, his interviews with Darren Donick and Chase. He's going to have to get bigger as they move forward here. And that's not something that you can do, right now, obviously in the middle of a season and, just go on this crazy workout routine, trying to get bigger while you're playing hockey every other night. That's pretty hard to do at this point.
That's what Tannehill did that week against the Dolphins, though.
That is true. One-fingered push-ups on the sideline. Yeah, it's good stuff. Right. Maybe that's what you just get Tomasino out there and doing, curls on the bench before he's getting to his next shift. That'd be good stuff.
Exactly. Before you go home, Philip, back to the weight room,
Yeah, go PK Subban style. Get done with the game and then just go do a full workout after the game's over as well. But, I'd like to see it. I'd just like to see for an extended period of time, what does he look like higher up in the lineup? And if it doesn't work, you can move things around the way that you need to move them. But I would like to see what he could do. And maybe he provides a spark. I mean, I think it's pretty clear the ability is there. Like he does a lot of things really well. He's not perfect. There's a lot he's going to have to work on, especially this offseason as they move into next year. But the vision is there. I think the foot speed's there. I think the playmaking ability is there. I'd like to see what it looks like for an extended period of time up top.
Yeah. So I think that's worth the look. And I mean, who knows? Maybe look, if it keeps going in the wrong direction, there will be some shakeups, whether that's just within the lineup or actually, different players in the lineup. But again, there's still, to me, also just too many mistakes that are being made. And that's where, I mean, I know that, you can easily glaze over when people talk about correctable mistakes. It's all correctable. Okay, well, you keep making the same mistakes, but it does feel like some of their issues here during this losing streak are things that they can take care of. They can clean up, right? They should be able to.
Yeah, I think so. Let's go to our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Will in Kentucky texting in says, it's a bad patch when you hit the post as much as they have. Luck is not on their side. Let's hope they find a solution before Thursday and Saturday. This is coming from Will on the text line.
Well, yeah, and that's a good point too. I mean, how many did they hit? They hit a couple early against Carolina for sure. So it's just, you get into a thing and it's like everything, it just seems to break your way when you're winning, and then it's just the opposite when you're losing. So I feel like everybody's just conceding tomorrow night as an L, and then it's like, okay, the season starts anew on Thursday.
What's your concern level on the Nashville Predators? Hit up our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We'll continue that discussion on the other side. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Want the latest on the Predators from the people that cover them?
Heck of a year so far for the Predators. They've been so much fun to watch.
Join Robby Stanley for Preds Insiders every Monday at 6.
I feel probably as good about this group of 6 on D.
Presented by Dr. Kelly Rice on Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
No one should read your personal messages. That's why WhatsApp uses end-to-end encryption. It protects whatever you send before, during, and after you send it. Always message privately. WhatsApp.
This is Hal Gill here for my good friends at Dunkin'. I grew up in Boston with the Dunks on almost every corner. Now I am wicked excited my favorite coffee moved with me to Nashville. The newest location is at 500 Cool Springs Boulevard. Dunks has special items for you to share with your special someone. Try the brownie batter. Of course, Dunks has all your favorites as well. Breakfast sandwiches, pastries, donuts, and as always, my favorite coffee. Go brighten up your day. Go get you Dunks.
It's Family Leisure's President's Day sale.
Wait, President's Day?
Well, it's in honor of all our presidents, and it means great deals for everyone.
Okay, like what?
Well, pools and spas for one. Family Leisure has the largest selection and guarantees the lowest prices anywhere, even compared to the internet.
What about grills and grill islands?
Of course, everything is on sale for 4 days at Family Leisure, even the smokers, grills, and grill islands. But I am more excited about the patio furniture. The new styles are arriving, and there are still great deals on the remaining floor models.
Wow! Great prices, great selection, and guaranteed lowest prices. Sounds like a great time to shop Family Leisure.
That's right, a 4-day only sale at Family Leisure, just in time for spring.
Family Leisure, both locations, Antioch and Franklin.
Hey everybody, Robby Stanley here to tell you about my friends at Jasper's as the neighborhood bar and restaurant to catch the next Preds game. Jasper's is located on West End Avenue and offers a fun atmosphere with a game room, TVs, and a large bar and lounge area. Plus they offer free parking. That's right, free parking on West End, and offer specials for every Preds game day, including $10 smash burgers and $3 bottled domestics. So come on down to Jasper's next game day for happy hour every weekday from 4 to 6 p.m. and 2-for-1 beers all day on Sundays. Just tell them that Robby Stanley sent you.
Hey, it's Elijah Campbell from Darren, Donick, and Chase, and I got my radio start right here as an intern at ESPN 1025 The Game. It was an excellent experience, and we're now looking for new interns. If you think that's you, go ahead and send your resume over to together@cromwellmedia.com to apply.
In a world where a single touch can threaten the surfaces of your home, there's Microban 24. Just one spray fights bacteria all day.
Bacteria incoming. Shields up, defenders.
When used as directed, Microban 24 sanitizing spray forms a defensive shield that keeps killing 99.9% of bacteria for up to 24 hours. Touch after touch.
Threat eliminated.
Microban 24. Don't just sanitize it, Microban it. Now spraying in a store near you.
ESPN's Turon Davenport breaks down the Titans like no other.
On the field chemistry, I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a process.
Catch TD Mondays at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Fridays at 8. Plus, the Talking with TD podcast drops every Wednesday.
When you draft players, it's not just for one season, it's for a career.
Presented by FreedomTireGuys.com, Nashville's premier mobile tire company. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Nashville, this is Rick Stockstill, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game, brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio, taking your thoughts on the Nashville Predators on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Your concern level with the Predators now that they've dropped 4 games in a row. They've got the Florida Panthers coming up tomorrow as well. Joey had John Hines on the show last week, and he made it sound like David Riddick might get one of the next 2 games leading into Carolina and Florida as well. Saros goes against Carolina on Friday. Do you think that the Predators should throw out David Riddick on Tuesday against Florida, or with the situation being what it is, you've lost 4 games in a row, do you just have to trot UC Saros back out there? How do you think the Predators should handle this coming up on Tuesday?
I mean, I'd probably go Saros because you've had rest, and then you got rest for the next game too. But I also, his answer to us kind of told me that they've really thought hard about next month and what's coming, and how maybe there's just a benefit to giving them a couple nights off here and there, even when they're not obvious nights off. So look, they need a shakeup too. I don't think that they need a shakeup in goal. They need him in goal, but I don't think it's outrageous to do this, to go with Riddick tomorrow. If it was me though, I would probably go with UC Saros on every back-to-back as well.
Yeah.
Play
him every game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess we should expect that though. Then, huh? Is that right? Should we expect Riddick tomorrow?
I mean, he said one of the next 2 games. I just wonder if the result, to me, I know that if I'm the coach, with the results being what they are, you've lost 4 in a row. And at that point, Saros would have had 3 full days off before the game coming in. It'd be pretty hard for me to not play UC Saros, especially against this team, which if you do kind of a deep dive on some of the numbers, Florida they're one of the best offensive teams we've seen in the league in a long time. They're really good. They just hung up 6 on Minnesota. They're pretty darn good. Hung up 5 against Chicago. Florida's offense is pretty elite. So, look, at some point, David Riddick's going to have to play, and he's going to have to play against some good teams at some point. I would go Saros again on Tuesday. I'd probably go Saros the rest of this week. And then, next month is what it is. You know what the schedule looks like if you're the Predators. But I'd probably go Saros the rest of the week. That's just me. I'm interested to see how they handle that.
Yeah. I guess, Florida, the way that they can light teams up, it's like, well, hey, David, how'd you like to take this one, buddy? Take one for the team, huh?
David, good luck to you.
I'm sure it won't be that bad.
Keith from Bowling Green on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says, I think they're just playing better teams. This coming from Keith from Bowling Green on the text line. And look, there is some of it. Let's go through the losses that they've had. You lose to Washington, you lose to Carolina. I think you can make the argument both those teams are better than the Predators. I don't really make that argument for the Stars and the Jets, though.
Right.
But I think certainly the last two, and certainly tomorrow, I mean, you can make the case that all three of those teams are better than the Predators.
Yeah, but right, like the Jets are not, and the Stars are right there trying to creep into your neighborhood, and they're getting closer, although they lost last time out. And let's not pretend like the Preds built their record just on patsies either. I mean, they beat all kinds of good teams this season in building their record. So there's, they're not playing as well. And that's the bottom line. With some bad luck here and there and some good opponents here and there, but they got to play better.
They've got to play better. And it's always interesting, like when teams go through this, because I think we've talked about all season long how mentally their makeup is night and day different than what it was a couple of years ago. And when things started to snowball bad, near the end of Peter Laviolette's tenure and in the first part of Heinz's tenure, things went really poorly. Like, I don't really think there's a mindset problem right now with this group, but I do wonder, when you go through kind of an extended stretch now of results not going your way, this team really hasn't had to deal with that much this season. How do you handle that as you move forward? Now, some of it is you can handle it fine, and the team across from you may just be better. Like, I think there's absolutely a scenario where the Predators play pretty well tomorrow and they still lose because Florida's that good. Like, I think that absolutely could happen. So how do you balance that if you're John Hines of, all right, looking for the effort that you want, looking for the execution that you want, and just trying to go out there and win the game? Like, I feel like tomorrow is probably going to take a superhuman performance from UC Saros, just based on the way Florida plays the game.
Well, the flip side to all this is, if you do go in there and play your best game and, go terrorize people on the boards and win puck battles and win a game, what does that do for you? If you go beat that team on the road, there's you can look at it like an opportunity to quickly kind of hit the switch and start going the other way. So easier said than done. I know it's easy to right now be dubious about that happening the way things are going, but it's not like they couldn't go in and beat Florida. No,
and I would think that the desperation level is starting to kick up a little bit if you're the Predators, because you're now in a race. I mean, before the All-Star break, they were in a race, but they were pretty clearly in a playoff spot at that point. I mean, LA is right behind you. The good news is about the group you're in right now, LA has played the same amount of games you have. Dallas is now only one game behind you. So teams have started to catch up a little bit in terms of the games in hand. Anaheim's actually played 2 more games than the Predators, and they're 3 points behind the Predators. So teams have started to catch up in terms of games played. Colorado's at 49, Minnesota's at 47, St. Louis is at 49. So you've started to not really have to worry about the games in hand as much anymore. Now you just got to get back to winning and collecting points, like especially in these Eastern Conference games. If you get a point, that can end up being huge in those games. So this is a big week for them. I think you said it though, like regardless of the way the game goes against Florida, whether they win or lose or whatever, that game Thursday against Dallas, that's going to be a huge game. It's going to, and Pekka Rinne stuff aside, it's going to be huge for that anyway. But just the game itself and the 2 points and what that means coming down the stretch, like to me, you got to beat Dallas on Thursday. Right. That's the approach you've got to take.
Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, talk about an emotional night. With everything all together. Just imagine if like Pekka Rinne, puts a Coors Light through a catfish too. Is Taylor Lewan going to be there, by the way?
He might be.
I'm seeing Taylor Lewan walking around like the Reservoir Dogs with the Preds, with a fish in hand. Like, is that going to be part of, or is that just part of the stadium series?
Could be both. Maybe he does. Kind of the podcaster out there chugging things off the fish. Who knows? Andrew from Dover texting in says, we need to sign Pekka to a 1-day contract to play on Pekka night. We need an encore. This is coming from Andrew from Dover. I think if you're talking about, leaving the stage outside of like winning a playoff series or winning a Stanley Cup, the way that Pekka Rinne left the ice last year against Carolina, probably wouldn't mess with that. Probably just leave that one alone.
Yes. Yeah. No doubt about it. I mean, the interesting thing about this week with him is, like personally, I would probably wait a little bit longer to retire a player's number. only because it's sort of like there's a lot of the same discussion that was just there a year ago when we didn't know, but we had an idea that he was going to leave. And then, like you said, like that last night, I mean, as of that last night, we still weren't sure, right? And there was a lot of like, wait, but then it's like, how do you not retire after that? But it's a lot of the same, discussion about how much everyone loves Pecorino. It's going to be cool to have him back. I'm sure it will be a source of emotion for this team. Another thing about retiring a player's number, jersey number, whatever you do, usually when you do that stuff, the current players on the team in question weren't teammates of his. I mean, usually it's like, oh yeah, that old guy, he was great, wasn't he? Or I played with him as a rookie one year. I mean, this is basically the same team he left last year, so that's kind of an interesting part of it too.
Yeah, it is. Different. I'm interested to see how that affects the game coming up on Thursday. Like, it's going to be emotionally charged. The building's going to be great. I think we know all that stuff. Does it affect the Predators positively out of the gate? Is it negative out of the gate? Or are you maybe a little too hyped up out of the gate? I'm interested to see how that goes. We'll continue to take your thoughts on the Predators on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. How important is this week for the Predators in terms of the way David Poile may approach the trading deadline? We'll get to that coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Mainly dry day today. We are starting off mild. Temperatures will head to the middle 60s with scattered showers and thunderstorms developing this afternoon and evening.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Gary Ashton here. I love hearing people say, don't sell without the intel, because it means they're really embracing our message. Now's a great time to sell your home in Nashville, but you need the intel only the Gary Ashton team can provide. Intel that helps you sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel to win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Let everyone else get the same information and compete for the same properties, while you get the intel edge with the Gary Ashton team, the official real estate team for your Tennessee Titans. And if you're looking for a great career, join our team. We added 65 new agents last year, and we want you to join us this year. Remember, don't sell without the intel. And if you're looking for a great career, the Gary Ashton team wants you in 2022. Call 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com today.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Hiller extended their lower 2021 pricing through January to help customers tackle necessary replacements, and there was so much demand that they are now extending this special for 1 more month. It will be the lowest pricing expected all year. Thanks to the inventory shortages and empty shelves, there are serious shortages on equipment and products for your home. HVAC systems, tankless water heaters, and generators are extremely limited. So if you need a replacement, call my friends at Hiller today. Hiller's work is backed by the Happy OB or services-free guarantee, and you can learn more at happyhiller.com.
At Copper Branch, they live life to the fullest. Food is your energy and your life. Located in the heart of downtown Nashville, their goal is to serve you, your friends, and family quality, great-tasting, plant-based power foods. Visit Copper Branch at 601 Church Street for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with convenient and validated parking during library hours, and download their app for curbside pickup. Or come out for songwriter and live music nights several times throughout the week to empower, energize, and feel your best. Visit Copper Branch today.
The minute you step behind the wheel of an all-new Toyota Tundra TRD Pro, you'll know it was made to make a statement, because it's a beast. Equipped with a 437-horsepower iForce Max hybrid engine made for making power moves. Plus, available cockpit red interior with a technical camo pattern made to deliver a red carpet-like experience. Not to mention an in-grille LED light bar made to make you stand out from the crowd. The all-new Tundra TRD Pro, made to make a statement. Toyota, let's go places.
Sometimes their glass is half full.
That was unbelievable. It was the best NFL draft they've ever had.
Sometimes glass half empty.
What are we getting ourselves into here? Tough game.
And sometimes it's all about the numbers.
One win, and they've gone on this streak, and now they're at 500.
Hang out with Darren, Donick, and Chase from 10 to 2 during your workday. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
This is Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 1025 The Game.
Because you're mine. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game. Robbie Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezvik here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. So, Rexrode, how big do you think this week is when it comes to David Poile and his decision-making? And the reason I ask that is this. Obviously, you know, one way or the other, whether this week goes really well for the Predators or it goes extremely poorly, they're not going to be out of the playoff race. They're still going to be right there in the thick of the playoff race. But I do think part of what your decision-making process looks like as a general manager is, how do we stack up against the elite teams in the NHL? They played well against some of those teams this year. They've gotten some big wins against Colorado. But as of late, you've gotten beaten by Carolina, got beat by Washington. They play Florida tomorrow. They play Tampa coming up on Saturday as well. And what we know is a big-time game for the Predators. Obviously, all those teams are in the Eastern Conference. So there's that part of it that you've got to separate as well. But if you're David Poile, how close attention are you playing to this week for the Predators when you're playing against really good competition? And how does maybe that affect your decision-making coming down the stretch as to either maybe what to do at the trade deadline, maybe more importantly, what not to do at the trade deadline coming up? This is, to me, if I'm David Poile, this is a pretty fascinating week.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. This is a great look at you against some of the best teams. I feel like I feel like Poile. I feel like there's going to be very little that pushes Poile toward anything but either a soft buy or a stand pat, or, you know, like, I guess unless you're talking about a complete collapse here, then I don't think there's going to be any kind of, and even then, like, I don't even know what that would look like. Even like, it would have to be an extraordinary collapse for there to be any thought of like being a seller or not looking to improve yourself maybe a little bit. I guess maybe if things were to go really well, does that make you think a little bit more like, gosh, if you could get one really good forward in here, maybe it's worth going out there and doing it. I just feel like right now things are right around that stand pat area to pick up, a little bit of help. I don't know what, because it's still, you can say, man, this team just didn't match up with those top teams. And you can still say, yeah, but the tournament's different. The playoff hockey's different. This team's built for playoff hockey. I mean, you can talk yourself into all that stuff no matter what happens. And it just seems to me like David Poile would not be swayed into selling, at least.
Yeah, like I think the idea of maybe him going out and getting a big fish, the more time that passes, the less likely I think that is. Now, I could be wrong, and I think the only way that happens, like if you go out and get something that's going to cost you a lot, I think the only way that happens if you're David Poile is if they've got term left on their deal, like the Claude Giroux of the world that has an expiring contract. Like I don't see the Predators doing that. Now, could they do something like that for a rental player that's going to cost less? Yeah. Like, I keep bringing up Calle Jarnkrok. Like, could they go get Calle Jarnkrok and spend a fourth rounder to get him and risk losing him at the end of the year? Yeah. I think that's something that may happen as they come down the stretch here, but I don't really see them getting into the mix with some of these big name guys coming down the stretch. What's interesting, I mean, we're a month away from today, from the trade deadline in the NHL. So we're getting to the point now where the conversation is going to start to heat up, and we've already seen some trades. Tyler Toffoli goes from Montreal to Calgary. Toronto made a trade over the weekend. It wasn't a huge one. They send Nick Ritchie to Arizona. Ilya Lyubushkin comes in. So there's moves that are starting to get made here by some of these playoff teams. And a lot of times what that can do is maybe get GMs thinking that they've got to pull a trigger a little quicker than they normally would at that point. So, David Poyle's obviously been around for a long time. He's seen 100 different trade deadlines at this point. So I'm interested to see how he handles that. I feel like if you would have asked him 2 weeks ago, and he would never say this publicly, I felt like pretty confident they were going to buy something at the deadline, whether that's a depth forward, depth defenseman. I just wonder if it continues to kind of go this way and you're sliding throughout the rest of this week. You start to win some and keep yourself around the wild card spot as the deadline gets here. If he's just more willing at that point to say, you know what, I'm not spending anything. We're just going to see what this team has and we'll make our decisions from there. I mean, obviously the Forsberg part of this is the big thing he's got to take care of. So that's priority number one for David Poyle. I think he's made that pretty clear. I just wonder if you're on the edge about this team and you don't know that they have, what it takes to make a playoff run or to get into the playoffs and do any damage, if David Poyle is willing to buy anything at all, even if it is a smaller piece.
Yeah. Well, get ready. If they lose all these games this week, week from today, we're going to be right back to Poyle's trading Forsberg, right?
Yeah. Well, some people are already there.
Well, yeah. Yeah. But like the thing is, if they get, I mean, right now, I guess they're already there, but if they're really on the fringe, and they're fighting here with the Stars, and you go the other side, you got the Kings right there, you got the Ducks. Although the Ducks, they have 2 games in hand on the Ducks, like you said earlier. But if you get that situation where you're really fighting for a spot, I feel like some kind of a pickup. I would expect that. I would expect some kind of an attempt to improve the team to get yourself back over the line or solidify your position. And I know some Predators fans, and I get it, are like, okay, so you're buying right now when we're talking about, just squeaking into the playoffs, but we've talked about that before too. How important is it to make the playoffs from a variety of perspectives? Very important.
Well, I think the other part you've got to keep in mind coming down the stretch here too is, for the most part, they've been relatively healthy. That's probably going to change at some point. Like it's difficult for me to imagine them getting through, the months of March and April with the amount of games that they're playing as healthy as they are right now. Now you've got internal options that you can do if you really wanted to. So you've got, Cody Glass, Rocco Grimaldi. They've got all kinds of guys down in Milwaukee that you can bring up on the back end. You've got Jeremy Davies. You've got David Ferentz down there. Like there's different things you can do that we saw them do last year. But I also wonder if, like, part of your deadline strategy, if you're David Poyle, is, all right, what do we think of our depth? If we do go through injuries, do we have enough depth to continue to make a push towards the playoffs? And if not, where is the depth lacking the most? Because honestly, like if you felt like you needed a scoring punch in your top 6 or whatever, and you don't like any of the options that are there at the deadline, like, could you not just say, you know what, we're going to go down. Rocco Grimaldi scored 20 down in Milwaukee. Like, could we not plug him in for a game or two and see how that goes? Like, I'm not going to put something like that past the Predators at this point. I just think the injuries that have not really bitten the Predators yet this year, which did last year, which is part of how we discovered some of these guys, I feel like that could be a factor coming down the stretch. And, a month from now, you could be in a totally different spot injury-wise. And I think that affects the deadline too, and the decisions that you make if you're David Poyle, which is why I think most of the time GMs, they like to see what's out there and strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah. Well, and that gets to the question of like the reasonable possibilities out there. Are they better than like a Rocco Grimaldi? Now, obviously I think Rocco doesn't fit in perfectly with the way John Hines likes to play.
For sure.
But he can give you a burst of speed and of scoring threat. So what it's just like your depth is important. I totally agree with you. And you're right. They've had pretty darn good luck this year. I mean, Forsberg had his little stretch early in the year, but it's kind of remarkable, especially the way they play, that they haven't had more injuries, and it is fair to expect more But at the same time, you also like you're trying to build up your depth in your organization too, and it's like, so are you going to start now? You're going to trade a prospect, going to trade a pick, or both, to get a so-so player? I mean, that's it's not easy, It just does. It just feels like this team got to the point where like it's not an option to not be in the playoffs now, right? It's not. Even though a lot of people thought they wouldn't be going into the year, when you have the success they've had, you're kind of like how do you not improve yourself if you can? But again, there is still a whatever you want to call it, or kind of rebuild or a replenishing of the organization going on at the same time.
Yeah. Let's go to our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Got a texture that says this team is and will always be in that stay pat area with this roster and David Poile at the helm. This team is and will always be in the stand pat area with the roster and David Poile at the helm.
So they'll never get good or bad. Is that what you're saying? They're going to be okay always, perpetually.
I mean, I can roll through example after example of David Poile not standing pat at the trade deadline. It's happened plenty of times. Yes. A lot of times it has not worked out, by the way.
That's true,
but
too.
It has happened plenty of times. Ryan in Nashville texting in says, if the Preds want to make the big splash and get a big fish with term, they should go after Alex DeBrincat. He would be a great on the top line with Joey and Luke Cunnin. I find it hard to believe the Chicago Blackhawks would trade Alex DeBrincat to the Predators in their division, but maybe. We've seen crazier things happen.
Yeah,
division trades happen.
You never know. It does. I mean, the Preds sent a first rounder to that same team for Ryan Hartman. So it is possible. And who knows? I mean, the Blackhawks, are they the biggest disappointment in the NHL this year?
They're up near the top, I think, for sure. I mean, certainly when you factor in both on the ice and off the ice, yes, they are. It's been a disaster of a year for the Blackhawks. I don't think there's any question. I'm interested to see, where does Fleury end up? Because I think he's going to get traded. I'm interested to see where he lands. We'll see what happens on that front. When we come back, we'll switch gears, get into the Titans. Are Titans fans conceding that the window to win is over for this team? Joe Rexrode and I will discuss that coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The voice of reason.
If I'm the official, I would send both teams to the locker room and say, this is going to stop.
The voice of the fan.
Our entire team's a mash unit right now.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Shop today at Social Furniture during their President's Day sale. You'll find everything for your home on sale now, and they have same-day delivery. Use Social Furniture's financing plan and pay no interest for 1 full year. For a limited time, they have designer sofas, solid wood bedroom furniture, leather sofas, and sectionals in stock now. Social Furniture's President's Day sale going on now through President's Day. Visit Social Furniture on Charlotte Avenue in West Nashville. Shop local. Shop social. Social Furniture is a proud supporter of your Nashville Predators.
At Genesis Diamonds, it's not just a new year. It's a new opportunity to bring you more choices, more value, more ways to celebrate your love. So we've expanded our selection of exquisite hand-picked diamonds from a half carat to 15 carats, all shapes, all sizes, all at our famous no middleman prices. We've brought in even more exclusive designer jewelry, new cutting-edge fashion-forward rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, and pendants. We have the styles and looks on every woman's wish list, things you can't find anywhere else. And for 2022, Genesis is now offering a truly spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. We have all the most popular styles in stock with no wait list and no restrictions. Is this the year you reward yourself with a premier name and timepieces? Come to Genesis in 2022 and let our non-commissioned experts help you celebrate those important milestones. We guarantee the best value, the highest quality, and the strongest warranties and guarantees in the jewelry industry. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Need cash for that home improvement or want to finally be credit card debt free? How does a check for 80 or 90 grand sound right now? Loan Pronto can do it for you, whether you have a VA loan or a conventional loan. They're helping local homeowners convert their home equity into cash with zero closing costs. Willie Donick here. Listen, your home value is up. Let Loan Pronto tap that equity and get you the cash you need. Pay off high-interest loans. Start that home remodeling project. Veteran homeowners are really loving this because with a VA loan, you can tap 100% of your home's equity. That's a ton of cash. Loan Pronto's all-digital process makes it fast and easy. They are doing loans with APRs in the 2s. And if you call now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Call now to see what your options are. Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. Not all loans apply.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe of Darren, Donick, and Chase. I started my radio career as an intern right here at ESPN 102.5 The Game. Now we're looking for our next great batch of interns. You think that's you? Send your resume to together@cromwellmedia.com to apply today.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Good morning! Morning! Robby and Rexrode mornings from 6 to 10.
It's not bad. Might have to work on that. Not bad. It's a starting point.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell Media Station.
It's Robby and Rexrode with Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in. Hour number 2 of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robbie Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning, taking your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. The Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up later this hour at 7:45. Corey Curtis from News 2 joining us at 8 o'clock. Joe, getting into the Titans, I'm interested to get the temperature of the Titans fan base right now because obviously in the immediate aftermath of the loss to Cincinnati, there were very strong opinions on both sides, especially around the quarterback at Ryan Tannehill. And we'll get to that a little bit more coming up later in the hour. Where do you think Titans fans are right now in terms of how they view this team this year moving forward, their window to compete for a championship? Do you feel like Titans fans, for the most part, believe that that window is over? Do you feel like Titans fans, for the most part, believe that their window to win a Super Bowl is still there with the roster as is? What's kind of Dr. Joe Rexrode's take of the temperature of the Titans fan base right now?
Well, as always, some of it has to do with who you are as a person and who you are as a sports fan. So I do think that over time, optimism wins out. So as time goes on, there's going to be more, excitement about what the team could be next year. I think there's going to be more, you got the anticipation of the draft. Of course, free agency's coming here in a few weeks too.
Yep.
So I think some of it is just that over time, there's going to be more people embracing, hey, you have a good football team. But I also think that, and I guess you're trying to separate like what you think the fans think versus like what I think. But I think the last 2 years, a year ago, because yes, they had lost in the playoffs, but there was a lot to like, especially about the offense. And you knew you had to do a lot of fixing on the defense. But I feel like a year ago, and then of course 2 years ago for sure, when they made the surprise win of the title game, there was more, I'd say, belief that this team could, if things broke right, could be there, could get there, could make that final step and maybe even win the last game. And I think now some of it is, yes, Tannehill, of course, related, but I think it's also related to what has happened at that same position in the conference. It's just, there are just a lot of teams in the AFC with better quarterbacks than the Titans have. It's not the only thing, of course. And I'm still, look, I have not changed from the idea that like you can win big with Ryan Tannehill. I mean, they have won. So you can, you got to figure out a way to be great around him and all that stuff. And it's all still possible, but I feel like more people are a little bit resigned to, okay, it's going to be a good year. They're going to be a good team, but can you really get past all those great teams in the AFC? I think there's a lot less optimism and hope for that.
Well, I think
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think you're exactly right. And that's where it's sometimes, I think, difficult to find, how much of that is just the noise that you hear. Is it the vocal minority? Is that how most Titans fans feel? Because one thing I think is pretty obvious at this point, like Mike Vrabel, John Robinson, they don't believe that their window to win is over with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. I think they've made it pretty clear that they still believe this team is going to be good. We don't know what the decisions are going to look like this offseason, but I still think John Robinson is probably in quote go for it mode, or whatever mode you want to call it, if you're J Rob or the Titans. So I think Vrabel and Robinson view this team as they're still going to be right there. They're still going to be competing for a Super Bowl, and they've got a chance. And I wonder how much of the Titans fan base says, well, yeah, they're going to be in the playoffs next year, but they have no chance once playoff time comes around. I wonder what that balance looks like if you're a Titans fan there. Because we've heard from some Titans fans that say they're still got a chance to win. Like they've still got a chance to win the Super Bowl. Just because Ryan Tannehill has not played well in the last two playoff games doesn't necessarily mean that's what it's going to be as you move forward here, which I admire that optimism. But I think I'm interested to see how much of the Titans fan base just feels like, all right, this was it. This was your chance. And you let it get away. Because honestly, that's where I am. Like, I feel like this past season was their chance to win the Super Bowl. And I think their window to win a Super Bowl is over. They'll be in the playoffs next year. I think they win the division next year. I don't think they're going to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I get that. I guess I feel the same way. I feel like this was an incredible opportunity, and a team that if you're the Titans, you went out and thumped right after losing your best player, won the Super Bowl. So you can look at that whole tournament and say, man, say what could have been. And I would agree that that it feels like it feels like it's going to get further away from you. I also think it's kind of funny that, we got to the point where it's like, go win the division. Yeah, go to the playoffs. Yeah, no problem. But yeah, not going to win it all, But again, that's what happens when you get close, and when you do things that they've done to try to push the chips in and to kick things down the road and say, this is it. This team can do it. I mean, they had a team that could have done it and didn't. And how are they going to be better next year? While also remembering that other teams also get to draft players and also get to sign free agents. And some of them have way better cap situations than your team does. So all that is, I just think it's probably going to be comparable to the 2019 season going into it, which is sort of wait and see. And especially at quarterback, different because that year was sort of like, okay, this is, but it is comparable. I mean, it was basically like, okay, this is Marcus Mariota's last chance to show, this is his option year, but like, is he really the guy? Can he stay healthy after last year and all the stuff that went on? He couldn't play in the game against the Colts and all that stuff. And then you have the backup, an actual legit backup in there. Maybe there will be another quarterback. It would probably have to be a rookie. I don't know who on the veteran market is going to come in here and say, "Well, I'll take Tannehill's job."
Right.
But this also feels like Tannehill's last chance, realistically. I mean, if they don't have a good year, or if they do, and then he again doesn't perform in the playoffs, and that's probably it. And you're probably having to start over at that position. So from that perspective, it kind of feels similar to that year. But I also think that this team on paper going into the year is going to look better than that team did.
And that's the interesting balance, right? Because I still think there are a lot of elements to this team that are Super Bowl worthy. Like, I think if the defense for the most part stays together, I think you've got a really good defense that you feel good about. I think obviously if Derrick Henry comes back and he looks like Derrick Henry, you feel great about that. AJ Brown, like depending on if they can add a tight end or whatever, being great around Tannehill, I think there's still a chance for this team to be really good. And let's throw this out there too. They had horrendous injury luck this past year. I would assume that regardless of what the injuries look like next year, it's probably going to be a little bit better than it was this past year. If it's not, oh boy, I guess we'll get back into strength coach conversations then on the text line. That'll be fun. Looking forward to that. But like the injuries, I would assume they're going to have some better luck next year because it'd be pretty hard to have worse luck on that front. So I can see a way that maybe the Titans finish 13-4 next year. Like I have no problem seeing that they could be better in the regular season this next season than they were this past season. But to me, we've reached the point with this discussion, and specifically with the quarterback, where it's going to come down to, you can play as great as you want to play in the regular season. What does it look like in the playoffs? I think that's where most of the Titans fan base is at this point.
Yeah, no, but look, I could also see them going 10-7 next year too.
I could too.
I mean, it's just their schedule. It's a first place schedule. Yeah, I mean, you like the NFC division that you got paired with for sure, I think. Yeah. But it's the NFL too, like
watch out for the Commanders
on the road.
Yeah.
You don't want to, you take on the Commanders on the road in the Commander's house. Yeah,
anything could happen.
Yeah, just throw caution to the wind. But that's the thing too. Like, you think a schedule is one thing, and then there's 3 teams on there that are actually way better than they're supposed to be, and a couple that are worse or whatever. But if they go 13-4 next year, then I think going to the playoffs, we'll be right back to talking about, okay, this team could get to the Super Bowl. I still think there's a lot, because I feel like it's probably just going to be an off season of really focusing on offense.
Yep.
And so then a lot of it basically like, okay, so this defense will just automatically be as good or better next year, right? With some exceptions, because at the cornerback position, you need to be better.
Yep.
But for the most part, like if they could just bottle up the defensive performance and transfer it to next year, I think they'd do that right now. They'd sign up for that right now. So I think we're going to see largely the offense being addressed, but I still am fascinated to see how the whole puzzle is going to come together with the cap, trying to keep the offensive line, trying to improve it while knowing that you absolutely have to improve the skill positions.
So Titans fans, what do you think of the window to win for this team? Are you convinced that it's over? Are you convinced that they're still in the window to win a Super Bowl? Hit up our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game.
Every Friday at 8:30 on Robby and Rexrode, we talk with the legend, Terry Chris, about all things Nashville Predators, presented by Copper Branch on ESPN 1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's Dell Technologies' biggest business sale of the year with Black Friday early access deals on Windows 11 PCs. Call 877-ASK-DELL. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business.
Hey guys, it's the new year. Are you still struggling with erectile dysfunction? I've yet to meet anyone that enjoys timing those intimate moments around a pill. Well, now you don't have to. The advanced wave technology at Hillside Medical has been shown by Cambridge University and the Cleveland Clinic to restore and even regrow blood vessels. It can improve circulation and eliminate erectile dysfunction. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, call us in the next 2 minutes and you'll receive a consultation, assessment, and blood flow ultrasound free, plus a special gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. You're going to love that. Trust me. This is a $600 value, free to callers now. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Guys, get rid of your ED and get that spark back. Call Hillside Medical now to qualify. 615-576-5000.
Thinking about making a change? You've put in the years and had success, but ready for something more? Well, good news. Little Guys Movers is looking for folks just like you to own and operate their very own Little Guys Movers franchise. From Broadway to Brentwood to Mount Juliet, if you can hear my voice, there's an affordable, profitable Little Guys franchise opportunity nearby. Use your existing 401k to invest in yourself. Financing options are available. Join a team with 30 plus years of growth and good times. Learn more at littleguysfranchise.com and then make that call.
Hey, it's Elijah Campbell from Darren, Donick, and Chase, and I got my radio start right here as an intern at ESPN 1025 The Game. It was an excellent experience, and we're now looking for new interns. If you think that's you, go ahead and send your resume over to together@cromwellmedia.com to apply.
Welcome to Allstate.
where you can save just by being you. DriveWise in the Allstate mobile app gives you personalized driving feedback, and by adding it to your policy, you can save for driving safe just by being yourself. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today.
Not available in every state. Savings based on DriveWise and other safe driving discounts. Savings vary. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Dell Technologies President's Day business sale has arrived. For a limited time, save up to 45% on all of our latest gear to work from anywhere with fast, free shipping. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business, so now's the time for incredible savings on PCs, along with servers, monitors, and docks, all with free shipping and quick installation and setup through Dell Installation Services. Get started by shopping online or by contacting your Dell Technologies advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Robby and Rexrode on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
The Preds have a weekday game this season. It's your chance to participate in Preds Pick to Click, brought to you by New Amsterdam Vodka. If you guess a Preds player that scores a goal in the game that night, you win a pair of tickets to a future Preds home game. Your next chance to participate is tomorrow morning at 8:45. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Scott from Hopkinsville texting in says, the window is closed tightly. Tannehill takes the momentum from the playoff game and completes his regression into Miami Ryan. 9-8, no playoffs. This coming from Scott in Hopkinsville. Says the Titans, the window is shut tightly. Tannehill continues to regress, and they go 9-8 with no playoff berth next year.
Well, it's possible.
It is possible.
Way crazier things have happened than in the 22 Tennessee Titans missing the playoffs in a loaded AFC. It's a better conference right now. It's a way better quarterback conference right now. And as far as Tannehill regressing, I mean, it's a 1-year regression, but it was a regression. So if that's got to, like, I don't think they're gonna. Well, I was gonna say I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs if he plays the same way. That I would actually amend that. If he has the same kind of season and their defense has the same kind of season and they are better around him, then they're probably a playoff team. But again, how much optimism do you have if all those things happen that they're going to make a run? I wouldn't expect anyone to be all that optimistic.
No, I mean, look, I think your answer to whether or not you think that their window to win is over really just falls in line directly with how you feel about him. And we've, obviously after the Cincy game, there was a lot of vitriol being tossed Tannehill's way. I will say, over the course of the last week or so, I think his reality has started to set further and further in that he's going to be the quarterback next year. I have seen more Tannehill defenders coming out of the woodwork on the text line. I'm just saying, they're coming out.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. Tannehill defenders, Josh Heupel believers.
Yeah, not
the exact same situation, but compare the day Heupel was hired to opening day of the 2021 season. There, I mean, GBO was, GB Joe noticed GBO being pretty excited.
Yes, you did.
By that point, yeah, there's some people who are going to be totally out on, like, I don't expect people all the way on the end of the spectrum of like, he's trash, get him out of here to change. Like, I guess I hope like Jared just keeps that same energy, man. He's the worst QB in the league, except a bunch of other people would love to trade for him. But a lot of people are gonna, you get further and further away from the day of the playoff game, and you can step back and look at everything he's done and say, gosh, he has been pretty good here. Is it the craziest thing in the world to think that the guy could get better, could learn from this? He's not old in quarterback terms anymore in the NFL. What if he did have? What if, Tim Kelly and the coordination of the passing game makes things way better? And, Todd Downing has a better second year. And all of a sudden there's a young stud tight end or a good free agent tight end for him. and they can play 2 tight end more. And now you got a fast receiver. I mean, you can tuck yourself into all these things. All of a sudden I got the Titans going like 15-2.
That's right. You mentioned the defense and specifically corner. And, obviously you feel good about Fulton. You feel good about Elijah Molden and what he did in his first year. I think to some degree what you're hoping for next year is, Caleb Farley gets healthy. He steps into that role and looks good while doing so. My question for you is, if you're John Robinson, even while hoping that Caleb Farley steps into a role and is a starter next year, how much attention are you paying to that position this offseason, whether it's via draft, via free agency, whatever? Like, how much insurance, for lack of a better term, do you want for Caleb Farley if you're John Robinson in this situation?
Well, you'd like it. I mean, you'd like it everywhere, but I feel like some of the low cost kind of replacement guys that they have at that position, they've had some good luck here and there with some of those guys. Look, Chris Jackson is a guy who has given you some really good performances, and he's been exposed at times too. But think about like how he played in the win at Los Angeles that we talked about earlier.
Yep,
he was terrific that night. I mean, there's a guy who in a pinch, you feel pretty good about him, and I just like those draft picks are so valuable, and I feel like in the free agent market, based on my math, which is not necessarily something to rely on, but I feel like you got to be super selective and focused, and probably on offense when you're out there, looking for veterans to sign. So I feel like it's going to be a lot of hoping Caleb Farley's healthy and ready to be good, and then counting on the Jackson sort of, not Border specifically, but the Borders, Jackson screens kind of thing to plug in there and get some good play. It's amazing, how they were able to get pretty good play on that side of the ball from so many different people this year, and just like a week here, a couple weeks there.
No, it really was. And, I think as much as we talk about the draft picks, like one thing I think you have to credit John Robinson and his staff for is doing that throughout the course of the season. We've talked about that, like, finding guys that can come in and play well and play significant minutes, sometimes on extremely short notice. Like, they've done a really good job of that. If I'm John Robinson, I'm looking at the defense. You feel so good about everything, especially like I'm really interested to see what they do with Zach Cunningham, but you feel pretty good about everything on that side of the ball right now. I just look at Caleb Farley. I think it's a big risk thinking that he's going to come in, slide in, and be great for the Titans next year. The injury's part of it, but I've talked about this a lot of times. He's not played a lot of corner in his career. He's not played a lot of corner in college. We didn't see much of him last year before he got hurt. Could he come in and have a Christian Fulton type year? Yeah, he could. I mean, obviously the Titans like his talent, selecting him where they did. To me, I just think you're putting a lot of eggs in the Caleb Farley basket, and maybe you have to based on where you picked him and the money situation everywhere else. But if that doesn't work and he's not ready or he's not good enough, out of the gate, you could be in a bad spot at that spot at corner, because I think Jackrabbit's going to be gone.
Yeah, but I think you almost have to. I just like there's got to be some areas where you're like, whew, sure hope that works out. And yeah. That seems like, again, when you drafted a guy in the first round, so you knew all these things, and you knew even before the ACL, obviously that's a terrible stroke of bad luck for him and for them, but you knew that it was probably going to be beyond the back, just some extra work to try to get him ready to be an NFL corner. I mean, I hate to use a Butch Jones term, but I assume there's been a lot of mental reps here for Caleb Farley over the last year. And, I think if Caleb Farley could give you 3/4 of what Fulton did this year, let's say, okay. So you're asking your first round pick from last year to be about 3/4 of what Fulton was in 2021. To me, that's still an upgrade over Jenkins, and with upside, that obviously you hope you build toward, getting better and better as the season goes on. And then you got a Chris Jackson there. You're going to have some depth guys. I just, to me, like, you got to address the interior of the offensive line. You got to address tight end, receiver, maybe quarterback, who knows. I guess you could take a flyer on a late round corner or something like that. I wouldn't, that's always fine, but I can't.
And you found Chris Jackson there.
Well, that's right. So that's fine. I mean, if it's a late round thing, but I don't see how that can be prioritized given all the other needs.
Yeah, I think you're right on that front. And, I agree. Like the majority of the time, I think should be, and I think will be spent on the offensive side if you're John Robinson of the Titans this offseason. We talk so much about tight end and how important that is, whether that's via free agency or the draft. And I think it's likely they draft a receiver with their first pick. We'll see what happens on that front. But offensively, I mean, I think they're going to try to surround Ryan Tannehill with as much as they can possibly surround him with, given the limitations of the salary cap. And to me, it kind of is like, this is your chance, Tannehill. We're going to give you everything we think we can give you that's reasonable in order to win, and you got to go out and do it. And if not, then we're probably talking about a much different trajectory for this team next offseason, would be my guess. Yeah. I don't know if full rebuild will be the way to go, but maybe different quarterback.
Yeah, and there's still, there's so much. Again, Derrick Henry is still such a huge part of the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Because if it's full go Derrick Henry, then that's one thing. You still built around him. If it starts, declining a little bit, you have to think about a completely different offensive identity pretty soon. And so then all of a sudden you're like, you're headed toward trying to get a QB, maybe change your offense. And can you be bad enough to get a QB who's really good? It's that stuck in the middle thing as a team, but that's not where they are now. And that's the thing. It's like, they're still, I think, going to be I think they're going to be a very good team next year, and potentially better than that if they have a great off season. What with the asterisk that now everybody has, or I think just about everybody has, which is, okay, but what about Tannehill? That wasn't the question going into last year.
It certainly was not. The 2022 Navy Federal Credit Union NHL Stadium Series is coming to Nissan Stadium this Saturday. This outdoor game has your Predators taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning, and will also feature performances by Miranda Lambert and Dierks Bentley as well. It's going to be a party, and Preds fans, you are not going to want to miss it. Visit NHL.com/Stadium Series for more details and to purchase tickets. We'll continue the discussion on the Titans when we come back. Welcome more of your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game.
This is Phil Tomasino, and this is Smashville.
Cousins put it in front of the score. Tomasino lofts it in. 2-0 Nashville.
This is a flagship of the Nashville Predators Radio Network. ESPN 1025 The Game.
Staples is evolving to Staples Connect, a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
If you missed the latest from Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
I don't think Julio's coming back.
You don't think Julio's coming back?
No.
You think he's done?
I think they're going to cut him.
What?
Yeah.
How can the Titans cut him when they invested so much money into him?
Because they're capped out, and they've got to look at this team, with cold, wide eyes, and make some tough decisions. So there are going to be guys that they're going to have to cut. Jackrabbit Jenkins is gone. I think that's a foregone conclusion.
Well, that feels pretty inevitable. Roger Saffold, another one that just feels like it's going to be too expensive to keep on.
Saffold is gone.
But with Julio Jones's contract, the way that it's constructed, they're going to take a cap hit no matter what.
Tune in Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6.
On ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, what's going on? It's Chase McCabe. Enjoy all your favorite sports like never before at, you guessed it, my friends at BetMGM. Just sign up using the code 1025GAME, and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, my favorite, live betting options, player props, and daily boosted odds specials. Plus, you'll earn BetMGM rewards points that can be redeemed for online bonuses or converted into comps for rooms, restaurants, and more at over 20 MGM resorts in Las Vegas and nationwide. Just download the BetMGM app today or go to BetMGM.com. Use that code 1025GAME and place your first wager risk-free up to $1,000. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and I'm excited to tell you about the folks at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Spring is just around the corner, and if your AC or heating unit is old and inefficient, then you need to take advantage of the Spring Hill Early Spring Special in the month of February. Save up to $1,000 for Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Get a York unit with a 10-year parts and labor warranty with up to 60 months no-interest financing on all York units. Restrictions do apply. Schedule now at springhillac.com. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, a York-certified comfort expert company.
Tonight,
Josh Jefferson knocks down the three, and MTSU takes the early lead.
the Blue Raiders host UTEP at the Murphy Center. Coverage begins at 6
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What's up, Nashville? This is Stephen A. Smith. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robbie Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezvik here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. By the way, Joe, today is National Sticky Bun Day. National Sticky Bun Day. Your thoughts?
Really?
Have you ever had, yeah, according to the nationaltoday.com. National Sticky Bun Day.
Every day is a day. National
day's a day.
Sticky Bun Day. Okay. Sure.
Really interested to see what tomorrow is. Tomorrow will be National Margarita Day. So that's right up.
Ooh,
all
we
of our
love
alley.
that. We love that.
That one, I mean, that one I can see getting a day, like plenty of people like margaritas, but Sticky Bun Day?
They're delicious. It's like a cinnamon roll, kind of.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
minus the cinnamon.
So you can have a day. Why don't you have a day? Right. Like I could even buy cinnamon roll day or sort of like a day with all of it. Whatever. I don't know how you put it all in the same category. Donuts, cinnamon roll, sticky bun. But to separate out the sticky bun is a little weird to me.
Listen,
You
there
mean
was
National Pastry Day, maybe? I don't know.
Right. There you go.
there
Yeah.
was a day last week, and it was National Spilled Milk Day.
Right. So again, this is just people going on the internet and just making stuff up and put, right? Didn't you say you can just register?
I'm
your
gonna
own day at this
register.
website?
I'm on a kick.
Yeah, you're addicted to CCR, which is cool. But we need to come up with the new band for this week.
Just like it's a great band, but quit playing their songs.
No, I mean I'm cool with like I can rock CCR all day. But I'm just saying there may be even more, more doors we can open.
Listen, the Zepp is too hard for this morning. It's a Monday,
Well,
okay, Joe? It's a little
is.
too aggressive. It's still only 7:30 here. I know it's 8:30 where you are.
They got some chill songs.
Chris on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says more like National Sticky Cheeks Day. It's coming from Chris. National Sticky Cheeks Day. That's good.
Oh, good Lord. I mean, are we sure that's not a day too? It may be.
Could be.
Spilled milk. Come on, National Spilled Milk Day. I mean,
it's absurd.
I mean, you're just making stuff up. I'm not saying you are, Michelle. I'm saying people are. Like there has to be like a process to verify these days.
I would hope so.
Nationalday.com.
Johnny on Twitter says, this whole morning listening to 102.5 The Game is giving me flashbacks to my math 11 and 12 classes. Mr. McCauley would crank CCR for the entire class as we did our math work. There's no way I'd ever get anything done in that math class. I'd just be jamming out CCR the whole time.
Me too.
That would actually help me because like when I write, I have to have loud music in my ears. I mean, I don't have to. Sometimes you can't, if you're in a press box or something, but for the most part, music has always helped me think.
Really?
Don't you want to sing it?
No, it's just like, I don't know. It's just a good occupy of part of my brain. Now, granted, it wouldn't help me do math because I was never good at that anyway, but it wouldn't hurt.
Joe, what did you think of? We heard the clip last break from Mark Howard when he was on with Caroline last week of him saying Julio Jones is gone. He thinks Julio is going to be out of here and that the Titans are going to cut ties with Julio Jones this offseason. I mean, that's going to be obviously a question I think that we continually ask. My guess is we continually ask that question until June 1st because I can't really see the Titans cutting him before June 1st at this point. Do you think if you're what did you think of those comments by Mark Howard that he thinks that Julio is going to be out of here next year?
Well, he may be right. I don't think it's like completely out of the realm of possibility. It has to be after June 1st. I think it's one of the really interesting questions. When I went through it, I kind of just thought, man, I mean, they need playmaking at receiver. Is Julio Jones going to have a season in 2022 that validates his salary or the move? No, but do you still need more with AJ Brown? Yeah. Are you counting on presuming that they're not going to go out and sign someone? And it's really not a great free agent crop anyway. And they have too many other things to do. Then you're saying, okay, so you're going to compliment AJ Brown with a rookie or two and hope that, a Des Fitzpatrick, a Racey McMath come along, a Marcus Johnson stays healthy, which is hard to count on right now. Cam Batson comes back. There's a lot of complementary pieces, but to me, you need a higher level of support for AJ Brown. How do you get that? I think you get it with a rookie high in the draft that you hope you hit on big time, but you need more than that, right? So to me, I would look at it like I think it's worth keeping the cost and hoping that he's past the hamstring. And again, that's no sure thing, but I would probably go the way of keeping him for another year and hope you get something out of it and hope you then have him as a nice 2/3 with a rookie as a nice 2/3, and you're just better on the outside.
I wonder how much they try to track down a slot receiver this offseason, whether that's in the draft, whether that's, maybe a cheaper guy in free agency. Obviously they tried that with Adam Humphries, and when he was on the field, I think he was good. He just could not stay healthy for the Titans, and they really didn't have your true slot guy last year. I know Chester Rogers played in the slot, but to me, like you need a higher level than Chester Rogers in the slot if you're the Titans. I wonder how much of that factors into the Julio discussion too. Like if you're drafting a wide receiver, are you drafting it in mind that, AJ is going to be your 1, Julio is going to be your 2 on the outside, and you're drafting for that 3 in the slot? Like I wonder how much that factors in if you're John Robinson and the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, it's like if they were to get like a Chris Olave, who to me is definitely like, to me, he kind of projects as a slot, but I think he could be just like a great player. Then I suppose you could look at it that way. But I mean, if they love Jameson Williams, to me, it's absolutely fine. You draft him and he's an outside receiver, and you have Julio too. I mean, that's fine. You can move people around. You can. I don't think that they're married to this idea of like you must get a slot guy. You can put AJ Brown in the slot all day and kill people with that. I suspect it's going to be more just get the best possible player you can get.
Go back to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Matt from DC texting in says the loss of Jonnu Smith was bigger than the loss of Arthur Smith. Tannehill lost faith in his check down tight end and forced too many throws instead of the easy check downs. This is coming from Matt from DC. What do you think of that? Loss of Jonnu Smith bigger than the loss of Arthur Smith for Ryan Tannehill?
I still think I might say Arthur Smith a little bit bigger, but it's Jonnu Smith was a big loss, and I know that he didn't have a great year his first year in New England, but still, I mean, he was exactly what you need. You need a tight end who can do everything well, so you aren't as predictable, but also a guy who can physically beat people for the ball in the red zone, and then also can make big plays after the catch, which Jonnu Smith did too. So it is a huge loss. And I mean, I guess as far as the check down thing, it definitely looked like that on that last pick for sure.
Go back to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Got a texter. This is LD from McMinnville. Can't wait for the 102.5 The Game draft show. My draft show host dream team is TD, Stillman, Sanders, Mark Howard, and Rexrode. You made LD's cut for the 1025 The Game draft show host dream team.
Well, I think that draft show, you got everybody. That's about what the show was last year, was minus me, right? The problem for me is writing obligations that night to make it complicated. Also, trying to resist throttling Jared in public, which is another, consideration to make. But I appreciate it. I appreciate the vote of confidence. One of my favorite things is still when Jared freaked out about the Farley picking and Mark Howard immediately just started cackling.
It's amazing.
It was an amazing draft moment in Nashville history to me.
Go back to the text line. Got a text that says, I'm not trying to get Michelle fired up, but what are your thoughts on Wan'Dale Robinson in the slot? Obviously, Wan'Dale Robinson, big year last year in Kentucky.
I like him. Michelle,
are you fired up?
Yeah. I mean, we love a Kentucky player. Sorry, I was so zoned out for a second, but hey.
You're not listening to us, are you?
No, I am. I was, the stream and everything. I'm fired up. Listen, we love a Kentucky player. Bud Dupree, he's a Kentucky player.
That's true.
You came up with one.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I was like, Josh Allen on the Jags. He's a Kentucky player.
Start going to other teams. Yeah.
Randall Cobb. Wesley Woodyard.
Randall Cobb's a sore spot with me.
Wesley Woodyard.
That is true. Chris on the text line says, find National Pedicure Day so Joe, Heidi, and Michelle can get an appointment set today. I'm sure that exists somewhere.
Oh, there's no doubt there's a National Pedicure Day. Why is Robby excluded from that? Why can't he get in on the fun?
I'm just reading what the text message said. I have no problem with what Chris has thrown out there.
Hey, find out when it is.
August 17th. We just looked it up over here.
August 17th.
There you go, Heidi. Put it on your calendar, Heidi.
Joe, put it on your calendar.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's there. I'll make sure my feet are nice and in heavy need of scraping.
I got a text that says, what are the chances of the Titans getting Gronk? I kind of find
I've heard some of that.
Doesn't it kind of feel like he's like, if it's not Brady, and I could be totally wrong here.
Yes.
But it feels to me like if Brady's not going to play, he's not going to play.
I agree. That would be my expectation. I mean, he retired, and then Brady got him out of retirement. Now, I guess Gronk and Brady. Now we're talking.
Well, I mean, maybe Gronk's leaving that door open for Brady to come back. Could be.
Maybe. But yeah, I would think most teams looking at tight ends would be at least skeptical that they could even get him because of that factor. So the tight end free agent crop is, I think the Titans, I think they're going to find a way to sign one of those guys. There's a lot of pretty good, intriguing prospects who could certainly upgrade what they were last year.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt about it. When we come back, it is time for the Rex Rant. Joe Rexrode's rant of the week. Coming up next, this is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Mainly dry day today. We are starting off mild. Temperatures will head to the middle 60s with scattered showers and thunderstorms developing this afternoon and evening.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
The 2022 SEC Women's Basketball Tournament is back in Nashville as Bridgestone Arena hosts the annual celebration of SEC's Women's Hoops March 2nd through the 6th. Join us and experience the bright lights of the Music City as we crown a champion. Tickets are on sale now, so contact your university ticket office or head to secsports.com. SEC Women's Basketball. It just means more.
It's Family Leisure's President's Day sale.
Wait, President's Day?
Well, it's in honor of all our presidents, and it means great deals for everyone.
Okay, like what?
Well, pools and spas for one. Family Leisure has the largest selection and guarantees the lowest prices anywhere.
What about grills and grill islands?
Of course, everything is on sale for 4 days at Family Leisure, just in time for spring.
Family Leisure, both locations, Antioch and Franklin.
Winter's a bad time for your furnace to go out, but it's never a bad time to call Lee Company. Our heating and air conditioning pros are available 24/7. No heat? Don't wait. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000. Our expert technicians will diagnose the issue and fix it right the first time. When you're cold, you need someone you can count on to bring the heat. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Got a party of 10 coming in. We need to flip those 2 tables.
Leah's restaurant is fully booked night after night.
Section 3 is still behind.
She no longer has reservations about finally finding a hostess.
Why doesn't 23 have menus? Oh, because they're in my hand.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to Allstate, where saving on your auto insurance is kind of like a joyride. You, your car, and an open Tennessee road. Maybe your best friend, too. The music is chill, and so is the traffic. You and your friend both look over at each other, and then he puts his head back out the window. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today.
Allstate and affiliates offer products and services subject to availability, terms, and conditions.
So, what is Jared Stillman gonna say this afternoon?
You got to play if you want to earn $14.6 million next year.
Oh, brother, here we go.
But I'm done on investing money in dudes that can't get on the field.
Tune in to Stillman and Company, weekday afternoons from 2 to 6.
This is some serious stuff right here.
Delivered by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
Robby and Rexrode is on ESPN 1025 The Game.
The time is now for the Rex Rant.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
On Robby and Rexrode, here on ESPN 1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You might want to sing it note for note, don't worry.
And it is that time of the week here on Robby and Rexrode. Time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. Catch it every Monday morning at 7:45. Joe, this music calms me down heading into the Rex Rant. Quite the peaceful tones heading into the rant today.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful stuff right there. Listen to that. It's all his voice. It's all by McFerrin's voice, you know?
It is.
Making all the sounds. Pretty amazing.
Joe Rexrode, your rant of the week is what this week?
Yes, and this will be, I think, a quick one to inspire conversation. This is something we've talked about a fair amount, and actually, it's pretty amazing because as I'm doing this, I'm noticing on Twitter we have another case of old tweets being dug up. So I don't know the whole story. I haven't seen anything really all that objectionable. I don't know if you're familiar with Annie Agar. Annie Agar is pretty hilarious. She actually was. She's a Michigander who was doing these Big Ten videos, which are really funny. It's like meeting of Big Ten fans, and he puts on it's like different, uniforms of the different Big Ten teams and making these funny jokes. Well, now she is kind of graduated to that on an NFL basis. Anyway, per the internet, which is always right, she made some joke about the Jaguars. Okay, which, I mean, how could you not? How could one not make jokes about the Jaguars? And then, so some like Jaguars Nation dug up some old tweets of hers. My quick glance at them, I don't see anything like all that bad, but regardless, I mean, this is life on the internet. Okay, so the thing that bothered me a little bit last week, first of all, my worst thing in sports was Matthew Stafford, turning around. Just seeing a photographer fall, of course, not knowing she, cracked her spine, but seeing her fall and then just say, "Ooh, I'm going to go over here." So, of course, the internet reacts. It was on this show. The whole world reacted. Then we come to find out that, the Staffords are paying for medical bills, which didn't surprise me at all. And they should. I mean, like, that's a good move. You need some. First of all, I mean, it sucks that someone just trying to do their job would get hurt doing that, and then also, when you react like that, yes, you're paying for the medical bills. But in the midst of all this, meanwhile, the photographer, Kelly Smiley, the old tweets are dug up. I mean, the old tweets are going to get dug up, folks. So someone decided, I don't know, maybe it was like someone who's just a huge Stafford fan and is mad that he has to pay him, or people were ripping Stafford, so they dig up her tweets. Look, the whole thing of digging up people's tweets, like, it's just, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I couldn't care less. It's something I would never do. I find it to be a little bit weird.
Yeah.
But the reaction to this, and actually I'm going to pick on a former Titan, Will Compton. You know, his tweet the other day was, "Holy bleep, the photographer Kelly Smiley accidentally broke her back. He's getting drugged now for old tweets. Just another day on this app." Now, granted, again, the process of digging up old tweets is a little weird to me. I agree that it is wild on this app and on the internet. But also, if you saw her tweets, like, you know,
not great.
Different from Annie Agar here, from what I've seen. I mean, these are some awful, awful tweets. And I guess to me, like, very racist, very homophobic, very slur-heavy tweets. So, like, to me, if you are okay tweeting that stuff, like, what does that mean? Like, when you're like actually in real life interacting with people, you know, it's one of those things where I think it's bizarre, but then sometimes you do. I mean, it's crazy for her. You go from no one knows who the heck you are, right? You can probably do whatever you want on the internet. No one cares, to you get seriously injured, to now everyone's looked up your past and you are known on the internet as a bigot. But again, like, that didn't have to happen because you didn't have to tweet all that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It's a little like the outrage. I think when you get to something like this, the outrage for the people digging it up probably should fade a little bit. And I'm not saying everybody needs to have their internet torch out and make sure that she's already deleted her account altogether anyway. I mean, she just deleted the account. It's gone.
Yeah, it's totally gone.
But again, like, I'm a little more bothered of the whole thing by the actual message, the content of her stuff. It's weird, and it's unfortunate that it came up, but what does that mean? I mean, you know, that's still, to me, the worst thing. I think with some of these things also, you do have in certain situations, and actually Annie Agar has made this point on her own tweets, you know, we've seen some things that were really kind of backward and bigoted from people when they were kids, you know, when they were teenagers.
Sure.
And I mean, I do have more, certainly. I mean, I think everybody should have a little bit more grace for something like that, you know, where, you know, you should evolve as you get into adulthood. And I think you can be forgiven for that. I don't think that's the case with Kelly Smiley. So it's just, the whole thing is weird, but let's also remember, like, these things that she said are not okay. I mean, I don't think the whole focus should be on the diggers of the tweets. They are going to do what they do. It's going to happen time and time again. What does it mean if you put that stuff out on the internet?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great point. Honestly, I saw that happen over the weekend. I have not seen anything with the Annie Agar stuff, so I'll have to look up exactly what's going on there. But yeah, that's the time that we live in. I did see that tweet from Will Compton the other day, and my first thought was, well, let's start maybe with what exactly was being said in the tweets. I agree. You know, digging up old tweets is weird. I would never do it. Quite frankly, like, I would hope people have more things to do with their time than to do that stuff. Apparently they don't, but that's been the case for years now at this point. But the content of the message was not good for the photographer at all. This is honestly like one thing and you brought up the point of, like, people doing this when, you know, they're teenagers and kids. Like, this is one thing, like, one day when I have children, that just terrifies me. Like, I know how emotional and, like, hormonal we are at, like, the age of 12 and 13 and 14, and the stupid stuff that I say. Like, I didn't have social media when I was that age. Like, I can't imagine how many stupid stuff I would have said at, like, 14 years old. Like, I go back through my Facebook time hop every day, and I look at some of the stuff that I said, and it's nothing like too bad or anything. It's just embarrassing, like, how stupid I was at the ages, basically from 17 to 23. I think I was maybe the dumbest human being that's ever walked the planet. That's what I've learned on my Facebook account from back in the day. Time hop's brutal.
Well, yeah, and no, for sure. I mean, I think about that with my kids too. They all have some degree, some kind of social media. We try to limit the different apps they're on. But I guess, like, you know, seeing the stuff that she had, it's like, okay, this is serious hatred stuff, you know?
Yeah, it was not good.
Like, you know, like, Will Compton also had a video that he did about this, and he kind of came at the end, he's cackling like, I guess you have to kill her now, like, joking like she has to be executed. And it's like, no, but I mean, the tweet finders are going to do what they do. I think there may be people who like that is all they do in life, possibly.
They just look up tweets.
It's fine. I mean, I don't know, because I swear, especially if it's like someone out of nowhere becomes a celebrity for whatever reason, like just something happens and then someone all of a sudden becomes a public figure. Like there's someone whose job it is, okay, right now, go back and go through every social media post that person ever did. So again, it's like, go ahead.
I was just going to say the scary thing was she a journalist or was she a photographer?
Yeah, I mean, she was a photographer for the NFL and I think the NHL. So I don't know like how, because sometimes that goes up like the journalism path, but it could be another path too to get to a job like that. It's a really good job for a photographer,
Yeah.
But like, again, it's like, so I know we can joke like, you got to execute her or cancel culture and stuff. But it's like, okay, but I mean, it is bad. Like it is like, and that's the thing. Like I'm nervous about, there's just a lot of stuff with social media with kids that I hate, a lot of stuff, most of it. Yeah. And I'm very glad I didn't have social media, but also like, I'm not worried about my kids putting stuff like that out. Well, they certainly aren't taught that stuff. Again, if you're putting stuff like that on social media, what are you saying? What are you saying when you're not putting things on the internet? Yeah. I mean, it's so, it's a bizarre turn of life for her. And I mean, I do have some sympathy for like how one little slip can change your life, because it probably will.
Yeah.
But like, I have some limits on the sympathy here.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. Nate on the text line says those people digging up old tweets to bash people are called trolls. It's coming from Nate on the text line.
I thought trolls was more
commenting.
People who are always like, meh, 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 trolling you.
Troll is what happens every time Joe Rexrode logs onto Twitter and gets in Twitter fights. That's what happens with trolls.
Yes. Well, and I mean, look, I love trolling people myself.
Oh, yes, you do, Rexrode.
Good stuff. This has been the Rexrode. You can check it out every Monday morning at 7:45 here on Robby and Rexrode. When we come back, we'll be joined by Corey Curtis from News 2. That's next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The voice of reason.
274 yards, 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. You're not going to win a game that way.
The voice of the fan.
I'm tired of let's just give it to a quarterback.
The voice of Nashville sports is your home of Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Time for the Blitz Report.
presented by Newton Nissan.
The Nashville Predators trailed Carolina 2-0 in their game on Friday night at PNC Arena, and then the Predators got on the board. The shot, he scores! Luke Cunnin scores, and the Predators are on the board. Luke Cunnin at 18:38 puts the Predators on the board, now down by 1. And how important was that? Luke Cunnin with his 11th of the year from Johansson and Yossi, but the Predators fell down 4-1, only to pull their goaltender and get 2 goals in the 6-on-5. End up losing the game, though, by a 5-3 count. Up next, the Predators tomorrow night in South Florida against the Panthers. Pre-game at 5, the game at 6 o'clock. This is Pete Weber reporting.
All the best car deals in Smashville start at Newton Nissan. Visit them at Newton Nissan of Gallatin or Newton Nissan South in Shelbyville.
This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
To understand what makes Genesis Diamonds so different than other jewelry stores, you have to go back over 40 years to the diamond cutting capital of Tel Aviv, Israel. That's where Genesis owner Boaz Ramon grew up, in the center of the diamond universe. His connections with the best diamond cutters allowed him special access, giving rise to a thriving wholesale business here in the United States. Then, after a few years, this wholesaler changed the game and started selling these precious diamonds direct to the public at the same prices he had sold to the jewelry stores. the no middleman concept became an instant success. Today, Genesis Diamonds provides that extraordinary value to people right here in Middle Tennessee, leading the industry with the highest quality diamonds that still come straight from the best cutters, offered at the guaranteed best price of any jewelry store in America. Genesis Diamonds, a truly revolutionary concept with a unique history rooted in quality, committed to excellence, and always focused on value. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
It's the official Bud Light Preds watch party as your Nashville Predators take on the Florida Panthers this Tuesday. Puck drops at 6 p.m., but the party starts at 5:30 with all kinds of specials. See you at headquarters, Beercade, downtown Nashville on 2nd Avenue. Go Preds!
Hello, Discover here to explain our cash back match. Here's how it works. We give you cash back for using your Discover card on the things you were going to buy anyway. Then we match that cash back in your first year. And that's why we call it Cashback Match. Now to recap and say cashback one more time. We match all the cashback you've earned at the end of your first year automatically. Discover. Exceptionally common sense. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting 97.5 Murfreesboro, 106.3 Williamson County.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell Media Station.
It's Robby and Rexrode with Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, hour number 3 of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robbie Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. And as we do every Monday morning at 8 o'clock, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Corey Curtis from News 2. Corey, what's going on? How we doing?
Buenos dias, Senor Rexrode and Senor Robbie.
I love the exchange of Rexrode. Apparently, what game were you watching that was in all Spanish the other day?
Yes.
Tennessee, South Carolina.
Yeah. So yesterday here in at my grandma's house in Venice, Florida, we've had a little mini family reunion. And we went, I was like, I did what you said, Corey. I hit like the thing. Oh, okay. So we got like it on Spanish or whatever. You hit the language thing. No, all the other channels, were in English, but the ABC feed of Tennessee, South Carolina was all in Spanish. We watched the whole game with the Spanish broadcast. It was interesting. Also, it was like delayed. Yeah. Well, it was also delayed like 3 seconds. So like they'd react to stuff late and like the whistles. It was a tough watch.
With every basket, did they go go?
No, not quite that. That would be a lot for hoops. But I thought they were good. I need to find out the announcers' names. They were good.
That was good stuff. I enjoyed that exchange between you and Corey Curtis on Twitter yesterday. So, Corey, we were talking earlier about the Titans and the window to win and all these different things. My question for you is, outside of keeping their own guys, like maybe a Harold Landry and figuring out the offensive line and what to do with Lewan or Saffold, what in your mind is the number one priority in terms of maybe additions for the Titans this offseason? What position are you looking at the most?
Well, there's not a ton of holes there, but, I think when I look at, the shaping of this team kind of going forward and like, what you could ideally do is, and I don't think it's a mystery. You need an athletic tight end who can challenge defenses and can create some plays for you. So I think that is, and they can do that in the draft or they could do it in free agency. I think that there are economical guys that can help them in free agency. And I think there's expensive guys that can help them in free agency, or they could just try to do it in the draft and hope it works out. That's a choice. That is one thing that they need to do. I also think they need to get younger and a little less expensive on the offensive line. Obviously they've used some draft capital in that area, and it hasn't always worked out. It needs to start working out because, you can't spend everywhere. And so, another area that I would like to see get worked out. And that's not to say that I want to see guys go, but Father Time comes for us all, and there is a cap, and you can handle kind of both of those things at the same time. I also think that I think they need more of a true slot who can come out there. It doesn't have to be a 2 or 3 down guy, but a guy who can come out there and create bad matchups for them out of the slot. And so those are just a couple there. I think tight end is the most overwhelming one for me.
That's a lot of stuff, of course. And I mean, I agree with all that, Corey. But obviously it's, the tough choices are going to be a part of that. Have you kind of, because we've talked about this in the last few weeks, and we're going to keep talking about it until the Titans actually make these tough choices, but any change of opinion? I really struggle. Like, I go back and forth on Zach Cunningham. That's the one where I'm like, I feel like obviously if there could be a restructuring of his deal, because they can cut him for nothing, but I also it's like, man, I just can't make the math work with him, but maybe that's a bad idea to let him go.
Well, from what John Robinson, it sounds like when they picked him up, it was a long-term decision, that they plan on him being a part of their football team moving forward. But to do that, they have to restructure his contract. There's no way around it. You can't do $10 million a year for a run stopper, which is primarily what he is. But I think they value him. And restructuring doesn't mean taking money away from the guy. It means usually giving it more to him up front and then spreading it out. And so that's what I think that they'll end up doing. I think they'll restructure Zach. Other candidates for restructure are Luan and Derrick Henry. I think those guys are also candidates for restructure for the Titans. Obviously I know some people have talked about Luan as a possible cut, and that's true, because his dead money is only $1 million. But left tackles are tough to replace. They just don't grow on trees, and not that Roger Saffolds do, but it's easier to replace guards generally than it is tackles, and so that's what I would expect them to do. But we'll see. As I said, Saffold. I think Saffold's 34, and I think Ben Jones, whose contract is up, I think is about to be 33. So these guys are getting older.
Corey Curtis from News 2 on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Corey, I think most Titans fans feel good about Christian Fulton. They feel good about what Elijah Molden gave them in his rookie year. How concerned are you about that other corner spot? Obviously, I think the plan would be for Caleb Farley to step in there, but how concerned are you about that spot, given, number one, his injury history, his lack of experience, and maybe the depth there with, I would assume, Jack Rabbit Jenkins probably being cut this offseason?
Yeah, I think that's a good assumption. I mean, I know they liked what they got for Buster Screen. Could you bring him back at an affordable rate and draft another guy at some point to come in? Because you've got to have some kind of backup, right? I mean, with Caleb Farley's injury history, you can't presume he's going to play 16 for you. I mean, we were tossing around in the office last night. If you set an over-under for Caleb Farley games for next season, we put the number at 6. What would you take? What would you bet on?
Ooh, that's tough. It'd be tough for me. I'd say over 6, but I don't feel good about it.
Jose?
Yeah, I'd probably guess over.
Really?
But yeah, I mean, 6 is a low number. I mean, first of all,
1 year of football, guys. 1 year.
Yeah, I know. That's why I don't feel good about it. I know.
Yeah, I mean,
2
it's
knees and 2 backs in 1 year.
Yeah.
And look,
well,
I wish the kid nothing but the best, and I hope he's a freaking Hall of Famer from here on out. But history says his body does not like playing football.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. If you're, and I'm not saying you're wrong at all, but I mean, if your view of that situation matches up with theirs,
because I think you got to have a plan. You've got to have a backup plan. I guess that's my main point.
Well, I mean, you could also make the case. I think everyone has cut Jackrabbit Jenkins now. Everyone in Nashville has cut him. He's cut. I mean, you could actually not cut him, right?
You're right.
But I mean,
you could.
that is
But then you're going to
feasible to
to
keep players under contract.
$7 million. I mean, guys, they are over right now, and that's just the fact. And so not everybody can stay. I mean, that's why we hate these conversations because I don't want anybody to get cut, whether they get their money or not. I mean, getting cut stinks. I mean, nobody. I mean, even if Joe and Robby got cut today, and even though they knew they had another job waiting for them at Station B, it still stinks to hear go away. I mean, that's no fun. Nobody needs to hear that.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about it. Corey Curtis from News 2 on the line with us. So, Corey, let's switch gears, get into the Predators. They've been, I think, one of the surprises of the NHL all season long. They've now lost 4 in a row coming out of the All-Star break, albeit, the last couple to really good teams in the East. What's your concern level at this point if you're a Predators fan with the way things have gone for them over the last week and a half?
Well, I mean, I'm not panicked, but I'm concerned because the points are starting to get away from them, and they've got to get the penalties under control because UC, who's largely played very well this year, hasn't been electric enough to erase that many power plays. I mean, you just can't play shorthanded that much. I mean, they're number 1 in the league, and it's not even close, right? I mean, so they've got to work that out. I mean, whether that's being a little less aggressive, whether I asked Roman Josi, is it just being lazy with your stick and figuring something out because there's a lot of hooks and a lot of holds in there. This isn't all boarding and roughing and just overly aggressive penalties. There's a lot of hooks and holds in there, and that's to me that's and look, I didn't play hockey my whole life. I played some. I didn't play hockey my whole life. But to me that's lazy. That's trying to get an advantage. Instead of moving your feet and getting your body position. And so I think that they can clean some of that up. And I think the refs are looking for them right now, and they're getting it. So they've got to be cleaner than everyone else at this point.
Okay, I'm going to switch gears again to show off your versatility to the topic that'll probably be, I'd say it'll probably take up at least half, if not more than that, of the debate shows today. Your fellow Chicagoan Juwan Howard, I assume you've seen the video.
Yeah.
The Wisconsin-Michigan post game, slap to the face of Joe Krabbenhoff. What do you think of that situation? What do you think should be the outcome of that situation?
Well, whenever you're in a leadership position like that, that's not okay. You've got to rise above the situation. No matter what's said, what's done, you're a leader of young men. You represent your university. You've got to be bigger, okay? You've got to rise above whatever situation you may have perceived. And unless you think someone's an imminent threat to your health or your family's health and safety, you cannot take a swing at them. This isn't playing on the playground, where everybody's calling a foul every time they miss a shot and you get aggravated. I mean, this is college basketball. This is national television. You don't get to do that. Now, am I for firing Juwan Howard and saying you can never coach again? No. I would suspend him. I said for 1 to 4 games was kind of my thought. And would 4 games pretty much finish out their season? Because they're 14 and 11, I think, something like that.
Maybe 4 or 5, probably, right?
Yeah. So I think that would be the extreme, would be to shut him down for the rest of the season. But I mean, I would definitely suspend him for a game or 2.
Corey Curtis from News 2 has been our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Joins us every Monday morning at 8 o'clock. Corey, appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for taking time to be with us.
Buenos dias.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you later. Corey Curtis does a great job for News 2. Joins us every Monday morning here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll come back. We'll react a little bit to what Corey had to say there. Welcome more of your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Speaking of the Nashville Predators, you just heard Corey's thoughts on the Preds. The all-new Paint the Town Preds pack presented by Yeehaw Brewing and Old Smoky, something you're going to want to pay attention to. You can purchase the pack and receive 2 weekend game tickets, plus 1 weeknight game ticket of your choice. Plus, you can receive a Preds car flag, a $25 Yeehaw Brewing Company gift card, and the opportunity to purchase 2022-23 season tickets as well. Visit NashvillePredators.com/paint to secure yours today. Get your Paint the Town Preds pack today and score your own hat trick, Smashville.
Every Wednesday, it's me, Jared Stillman, against Joe Rexrode for Jared versus Joe. Brought to you by Parman Tractor and Equipment. Visit ParmanTractor.com, your Middle Tennessee link belt and Takeuchi dealer.
Discover matches all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year. Automatically. Discover. Something brighter. Learn more at discover.com/match.
Men, it's the new year, and maybe it's time to do something new for you. If you're sluggish and run down, not sleeping well, have low libido, and just not feeling like you used to, it's possible you have low testosterone. This is Kim for the Tennessee Men's Clinic, and if you feel like this, and you're like most men with low T, we can get you back on track fast. Low T treatments can truly change your life. Most men experience higher energy, better gains in the gym, improved sleep patterns, and better mental clarity. You'll also likely find that your libido is improved, which can have a very positive effect on your sex life. At the Tennessee Men's Clinic, we've successfully treated thousands of men for low T. We're experts in these treatment protocols, and we're extremely proud of the results that our patients have experienced. So if you're feeling down and out this new year, it's time to call us. Just $99 gets you a PSA and T test and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra. Results vary.
Hey, it's Chase McCabe, Program Director at 102.5 The Game, and when our crew is out, we want to look our best. Thankfully, we have Authentically American taking care of all of our apparel. The way your team looks is everything. Enhance your company's image with the help of veteran-owned and operated Authentically American. For you parents out there, they'll take care of your kids' team apparel too. It's Authentically American, and yep, it's made in America. Check them out at authenticallyamerican.us. Mention the game and they'll handle the setup and artwork free of charge. That's authenticallyamerican.us. Hey, it's Chase McCabe of Darren, Donick, and Chase. I started my radio career as an intern right here at ESPN 102.5 The Game. Now we're looking for our next great batch of interns. You think that's you? Send your resume to together@cromwellmedia.com to apply today.
Dell Technologies' President's Day business sale has arrived. For a limited time, save up to 45% on all of our latest gear to work from anywhere with fast, free shipping. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business, so now's the time for incredible savings on PCs along with servers, monitors, and docks, all with free shipping and quick installation and setup through Dell Installation Services. Get started by shopping online or by contacting your Dell Technologies advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL.
Interact with Robby and Rexrode. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Thanks to Corey Curtis from News 2 for joining us in the last segment. Had a lot to get to there. We'll get to a couple of your thoughts on our text line here in just a few minutes. Right now, let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Chad from Franklin, who wants to weigh in. Chad, thanks for calling in Robby and Rexrode.
Yeah, guys, I appreciate taking the call. So I wanted to kind of give y'all my insight on the tight end situation and the Titans, and from a Dallas Cowboys point of view. I'm a huge Dallas Cowboys fan, and I believe the Titans have a tight end on their team currently who could be the guy you need if he was just given the chance. So Jeff Swain was a huge playmaker for Texas coming out of college. And when he got drafted by the Cowboys, the big thing they were worried about was his blocking ability. Because, you know, with the Cowboys, they want their tight ends to be able to do it all. So that year that he comes in, he's sitting behind Jason Witten. And all through camp, all they're talking about is he's following around Jason Witten like a puppy. He's following around Jason Witten like a puppy. He's learning how to block. Well, he comes in, he does great. He's kind of Dak's security blanket there for a game or two, and then he goes down with a season-ending injury. Well, everybody's thinking, all right, this is Jason Witten's replacement. We got our guy. And he gets traded to Jacksonville, where Jacksonville only uses him as a blocking tight end because he learned how to do it properly from one of the best tight ends ever to do it. And then when he comes to the Titans, I hear Jared and other people on y'all's radio station just refer to him as a blocking tight end. He's just a blocking tight end. Now, I don't know if maybe his confidence went away after the injury or if people around the league have just pigeonholed him into a blocking tight end role. But I personally think that Jeff Swaim, if given the chance, could be your tight end guy. Then just go do what the Cowboys did last year. Get all defense and make Ryan Tannehill a defense like Joe Flacco and Trent Dilfer had and call it a day. That's my thoughts.
Thanks for the call, Jeff. We appreciate it. What do you think of that, Joe? Jeff Swaim, maybe the answer at tight end moving forward. I will say, now, first off, Jeff Swaim also a free agent. So are the Titans going to bring him back? I think that's a fair question to ask as well. But, I mean, you're talking about a guy that in his career has played in 69 games, 88 catches, 694, and 5 touchdowns. Like, the numbers just aren't really there from Jeff Swaim. Now, look, I will say, I thought Jeff Swaim had some good moments for the Titans next year. But to me, if I'm John Robinson, I don't mind necessarily bringing Jeff Swaim back if the price is right. But in order to change the offense where I think Tannehill needs, I'm shooting much higher than Jeff Swaim if I'm John Robinson.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know sometimes tight end production can be tied to just not getting the opportunities, but
we've talked about that with Jonnu Smith.
That's right. And to me, there's a difference there, right? I mean, you can see with Jonnu Smith or Delaney Walker, that's what you're looking for. Or obviously you can go to, like the star tight ends in this league, the Kittles and Kelseys. I mean, look, you can't realistically expect to have one of those on your team next year. I do think Jeff Swaim had a good year. And of those 3 free agents, all of them are free agents. I'd probably prioritize him first. Although I also thought Michael Pruitt did a good job in his role and had some good moments catching the ball. But yeah, you've got to be more dynamic than Swaim or Pruitt at that position, to me. At least if a free agent and or draft pick you can develop. I think Swaim can be part of the answer here moving forward, but they've got to get someone who is a bit more of a matchup problem for opposing defenses.
Well, and you said earlier you wouldn't be surprised if they go get one of these guys at tight end that are free agents out there. I mean, we've talked about the names. I mean, there's, O.J. Howard, there's Tunyon that's a free agent, Uzama is a free agent, which I imagine he'll be back with Cincy. But, Zach Ertz is out there, Jared Cook's out there, Hayden Hurst is out there, Evan Ingram's out there. I mean, you go up and down the list of tight ends that are out there. Yeah, Gesicki's out there. I mean, there's all sorts of tight ends that are out there that I would assume at least a few of those guys will make it to free agency. You think the Titans are going to be players for those guys?
I just think if there's any sort of free agent move, it would be there. Now, again, we could see a move for, we talked about earlier in the show, maybe a corner. And that probably has something to do with how they look at the Caleb Farley situation. How do they feel about him not just getting healthy, which is already a big question, but then being a good, like a starting quality corner, or offensive lineman, last year they went out, got Kendall Lamb, didn't really work out the way they hoped. I could see him trying something like that. But I think if there's a free agent signing of any sort of significant number, I would absolutely put my money on it being at tight end, especially because of the crop. I'm sure among those guys we've listed, there's at least a couple of them that the Titans are really focusing on and thinking, this guy could really fit well here. O.J. Howard is the tantalizing, talent who was really good in college, and he's got all the measurables, but he hasn't played like it yet. He's, Ebron is a really interesting one too. Hugely, typically like overreaching Lions draft pick who was disappointing for the most part there, but has had some good moments since leaving that franchise. How much more does he have? Yeah, it seems to be a bit of a theme in the NFL, right? But he's also, I don't know that he's exactly what they're looking for in this offense, but he would be certainly more of a receiving threat than they had last season.
Chris on the text line says, if you want to dig up old tweets, look at Corey Curtis's tweets from the amount of times that Swaim just flat whiffed on blocks. Crazy he is a blocking tight end after some of those misses. It's coming from Chris on the text line.
Well, Corey Curtis wasn't alone. And there was
yeah.
There's one in Seattle in particular where
it was rough.
It was a really costly whiff. That said, that's the thing. It's like officials, offensive linemen, long snappers. You make the one or two huge mistakes. That's what we all think about. I think that Swaim through the course of the year was a pretty good blocking tight end.
Do you have so of those three, Swaim, Firkser, and Michael Pruitt? And obviously the Pruitt thing is interesting because he suffered that just awful injury against the Dolphins, and I don't know what his timeline looks like and all that other stuff. So there's that part of it to factor in as well. I wonder how many of those three the Titans are interested in bringing back. Obviously I think you want to upgrade at tight end. You need to have some good depth as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Jeff Swaim's back next year. I wonder of those three guys, how many John Robinson's interested in bringing back and how many he just says, thanks for your time. Well, we'll see you down the road.
Yeah. To me, again, I would put Swaim first on the list of what I would prioritize. And I would not be surprised if they bring him back. Pruitt, they did everything they could to not sign him last year. And now, as you said, he's coming off that injury. So I don't know. I wouldn't expect him to be here. Firkser is really interesting.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's been a great find for this organization. There's no doubt about it. But last year was a big opportunity and he didn't really take advantage of it. So, but is he appealing to other teams out there? You can see, where he can be a pretty good pass catching tight end, but is there a market for him out there? I don't know. If you can bring Firkser back at very low cost, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world.
No.
And then you've got a couple tight ends who, they know the system, you can count on them, and then you try to sign somebody, maybe draft somebody, and you got a tight end room.
Yeah, I have no problem bringing Anthony Firkser back. I hope the days of acting like Anthony Firkser is about to turn into, George Kittle out there are over. We got a little crazy with that last training camp.
We did, but that's what training camp's for, isn't it?
That is true. Jim on the text line says, were we in the mix to pick up Zach Ertz when he left the Eagles? If so, what happened? He looked really good with Arizona. By the way, Zach Ertz will be a free agent this offseason.
Well, remember last offseason, obviously John Robinson went the way of pushing those chips and go get Julio Jones. There was a lot of talk about them as players for Ertz in a possible trade at that point. Obviously it didn't happen. I don't know how close they were, but it wouldn't have worked out this year given their cap situation. So, Ertz to me is probably a little bit pricey given what their situation is. But hey, if you can make that work, do it by all means.
Yeah, absolutely. Some real quick news on the University of Tennessee front. This coming from Pete Thamel from ESPN. University of Tennessee wide receiver coach Cody Burns has accepted the New Orleans Saints wide receivers job. Burns, also a former Auburn player who has coached at MTSU, Arizona State, and Auburn as well. So Josh Heupel losing a member of his staff to the New Orleans Saints, now the wide receiver coach in the NFL.
Interesting timing on that. You don't see too much, coaching movement in late February, but
you don't.
That's a hole to fill for Tennessee. A pretty important position. Maybe one of the, should be one of their better positions this year.
We'll come back. We'll take more of your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. A landing spot for Brian Flores. Also some interesting comments from a former head coach of Tom Brady as well. We'll get to that on the other side. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game.
It's Dell Technologies' biggest business sale of the year with Black Friday early access deals on Windows 11 PCs. Call 877-ASK-DELL. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business.
Gary Ashton here. I love hearing people say, don't sell without the Intel, because it means they're really embracing our message. Now's a great time to sell your home in Nashville, but you need the Intel only the Gary Ashton team can provide. Intel that helps you sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel to win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Let everyone else get the same information and compete for the same properties, while you get the Intel edge with the Gary Ashton team, the official real estate team for your Tennessee Titans. And if you're looking for a great career, join our team. We added 65 new agents last year, and we want you to join us this year. Remember, don't sell without the intel. And if you're looking for a great career, the Gary Ashton team wants you in 2022. Call 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com today.
Backyard Blues Pools is your one-stop shop in Middle Tennessee for all your pool needs. Voted the #1 pool company in Rutherford County for 11 straight years. They have everything from new installs down to their 5-star cleaning services. Backyard Blues Pools at 2812 Old Fort Parkway and coming soon to 2126 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. Honk your horn when you see their big yellow truck with the Lazy Penguin. Call now for all of your pool needs. 615-907-4200.
Zines First is the official sign company for 1025 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
Hey, it's Elijah Campbell from Darren, Donick, and Chase, and I got my radio start right here as an intern at ESPN 1025 The Game. It was an excellent experience, and we're now looking for new interns. If you think that's you, go ahead and send your resume over to together@cromwellmedia.com to apply.
Hola, Carla speaking. Carla's roofing company always goes above and beyond.
Yeah, we heard about next week's forecast.
She needs a new foreman to weather a storm of projects.
You mean another full crew before Wednesday? Mira, Jose, can you work Wednesday?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Dell Technologies President's Day business sale has arrived. For a limited time, save up to 45% on all of our latest gear to work from anywhere with fast, free shipping. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business, so now's the time for incredible savings on PCs, along with servers, monitors, and docks, all with free shipping and quick installation and setup through Dell Installation Services. Get started by shopping online or by contacting your Dell Technologies advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL.
Tuesday night.
Pippen leading the charge to the other end for a one-hand flush.
The Commodores are at Memorial Gym to take on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Coverage begins at 7:30 on 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Hey Nashville, this is Gary Bettman. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Preds fans, join us for Smashville Live this Wednesday on 1025 The Game. The show will air on Wednesdays during the Preds season from 6 to 7 p.m., featuring Preds players, former players, and other special guests. You can watch the show via 1025 The Game's Twitch, Facebook page, YouTube, and Twitter as well. Join us this hockey season for Smashville Live, brought to you by New Amsterdam Vodka, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, and Red Spirits and Wine in Bellevue. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, here on ESPN 1025 The Game, brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. We'll be joined by Darren McFarland to begin the 9 o'clock hour. Looking forward to that conversation coming up in about 30 minutes. Right now, taking thoughts on the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Chris texting in says, speaking of things from last year's training camp, remember when Tannehill was throwing multiple picks at camp? It was kind of written off as lack of time with receivers and defense doing a little bit better. Maybe it was an omen we should have paid more attention to. This coming from Chris on the text line, talking about Tannehill's training camp interceptions.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's fair to bring it up. I think a lot of what I believed at the time was he's, taking some risks, letting it rip. Why not give these DBs some good looks? It's not like there's a real consequence to throwing a pick in a team period. But hey, the fact is he threw more picks during camp than he had in the prior two camps, and he threw more picks in the season. So making that correlation is fair.
Well, and it wasn't totally written off as no big deal, because eventually Vrabel was asked about it during camp last year. And I remember him saying, he's got to stop doing that. He's got to stop turning the ball over. So it was at least on Vrabel's radar as well when we were talking about that last year.
Yeah. Coaches, there's a certain level of, especially if you're an established player, of, hey, try some things out. It's okay that this is a time to do some of that. But also coaches, for the most part, believe how you practice is how you play. So, Yeah, no, you're right. A couple times I think during camp there was at least a little bit of like, stop throwing it to the other team.
Yeah.
Energy from Vrabel. So again, it's like, okay, so if that's the case, if camp should have told us that this was coming, I still ask, why?
Yeah.
Well, why did Ryan Tannehill become turnover prone quarterback after 2 seasons of not at all being that?
Yeah, it's a great question. Matt from DC on the text line says, go get Evan Ingram, athletic tight end who can also line up in the slot. The Titans are 2 for 2 in getting guys from the NFC East, DeMarco and Arakpo as well. So what do you think about that? Evan Ingram keeping some of that NFC East magic going.
He's he's very talented.
He is.
He's also been injured. I don't know the whole history, but I feel like he's been banged up quite a bit.
Yeah.
But no, there's a lot of possibilities in there. And again, a lot of those names won't get to the point where you can sign them, I think. But he's one of them for sure who could be really intriguing.
Go back to the text line. Nate texting in says, I thought it was interesting that Brian Flores took an assistant coaching position with the Steelers. How do you think this will impact the lawsuit, if at all? I understand it's not a head coach position, and that's the goal of the lawsuit. But with him now being focused on football again, how does the suit move forward? This coming from Nate. And if you missed it, Brian Flores has accepted a position with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So was involved in multiple interviews for head coaching positions. Obviously, those positions have been filled at this point, and now Brian Flores accepting a job with the Pittsburgh Steelers on their defensive staff. What do you think of that landing spot for Brian Flores?
Well, it shows, he's got the lawsuit. He also wants to continue on with his coaching career. And the legal expert reaction to that was this weakens the lawsuit. So, which I get it. I get why you would look at it that way. Because obviously if you're out of the league, then if Brian Flores couldn't get a job here, then you could also add to the lawsuit, or the conversation is, and now, by the way, he's blacklisted by the whole league, even whether that's true or not. That's part of the discussion, and now he got a job. So I still think like the lawsuit kind of stands on its own, but maybe it makes it tougher. I think the lawsuit, I still think ultimately this lawsuit is going to shine a light on some things. And there's an issue here that a lot of people are trying to figure out. I think in good faith, a lot of people are trying to figure out how to fix it. And that's probably the biggest impact it has. But, for Flores, look, that guy to me should be a head coach again soon in this league.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't really surprised to see him end up with the Steelers. First off, I think that's a good fit for him. I think that's a good fit for them. And I think he's going to make their defense a lot better as they move forward here. They just got to find a quarterback, and then we'll see what the Steelers can do on that front. But Brian Flores, now a defensive assistant linebacker coach with the Steelers as well. Some interesting comments over the weekend from Bruce Arians, as there was a report came out that, Brady and Arians may have gotten into it at the end of his time in Tampa Bay. And apparently, Brady and Leftwich would be sitting down game planning all week long. And then, Arians would come in there with like the red letter pen and just start going through everything and scratching it out. And there was a report that drove Brady nuts. And that was part of the reason that he decided to retire, was his relationship with Bruce Arians had soured. Now, Arians has since come out and said that all that is nonsense. He used words that I can't use on the radio station here, but nonsense was essentially what he was driving at. And they were also asked Bruce Arians if he thought Tom Brady would come back to play in 2022. And Arians said he would be, quote, shocked if that happened, if Brady came back to play in 2022. What do you think of all that? The noise between maybe Brady and Arians, that not ending well? And what do you think of him saying he would be shocked if Brady comes back to play? Do you believe Bruce Arians when he says this?
Believe him when he says it, that nothing happened?
When he says that he would be shocked if he comes back to play.
Yeah. I'm still way less than 50% in believing that Brady's actually going to come right back and unretire. don't know about shocked, because Brady has certainly put out some hints that maybe he would, but this whole, so I'm trying to, the original report on this whole thing was who again?
I can't remember exactly who it was. I'm trying to find that right now.
Yeah, I am too. I know that he said it was the Tampa Bay Times that he said that he was mad. So it was okay. It's Rich Ohrnberger, radio show host. Okay, so how Rich Ohrnberger, who is also a former NFL player, has that information right now, I don't know. But it's tantalizing.
It is. That would be like 2 coaches in a row that end on bad terms. If Brady's out there fighting with Belichick towards the end, and now he's out there fighting with Bruce Arians toward the end, maybe the Pharaoh, he's just hard to work with. Like, it could be a guy that maybe he's just difficult. Tom Brady's way too difficult for normal people to handle. Soured with Belichick, and it's soured with Arians.
I mean, let's be fair with Brady. He's the GOAT. Everybody loves him, but I could see him being a little bit of a handful.
I could see that. But don't, like, at some point, like, I understand if you're an NFL head coach, there's a certain level of ego, I think, that goes with that, because you put in all this work, you've worked your entire life to get in this spot. But, like, at some point, don't you also have to look around and be like, yeah, I think we'll just let Tom Brady kind of do his thing. We'll just see whatever he wants to do. We'll do it. I probably would. Maybe that's why I'm not an NFL head coach.
No, I mean, within reason, but yeah, pretty much. I mean, look, he basically was their GM, wasn't he?
He was. Yes.
I mean, he was at least assistant to the general manager, if not assistant general manager. So, but I don't know. I can also see Bruce Arians being a pain in the butt too.
I was about to say. In retrospect, it kind of is amazing that those two personalities got along the way that they did. Bruce Arians can be a little mush in there.
Well, yeah, and it's easy to get along when you come right in and you're immediately an absolute super team, and then you go win it.
Yes.
Although that first season, it's not like it was all flowers and rainbows. I mean, they looked kind of rough.
They're 7-5 at one point.
Yeah, but it was always going to be short term, and it's like with the Brady Belichick thing. I feel like most people would side with Brady if you want to talk about like who was more right, who was more wrong, and that whole thing. I think more people would side with Brady, but at the same time, you can see the other side of that too. In fact, and especially, I mean, to me, I know it's funny to say now because of what all he did, but I get the concern that he, was fading as a player late in those years and the need to find the next guy. I mean, most quarterbacks don't play in the 40s. No one knew for sure when he was 39 that he was going to be so good, into his 40s or 38, whatever.
We've never seen anybody really do this before. Like, he's 44 and he just played at an MVP level this past year. We've never seen that happen before in this sport.
Right. Even at that position. I mean, for the most part, you expect like by the way the timeline has been viewed in this league traditionally, like Tannehill right now is approaching, okay, he's going to start declining, but that's not how people look at it anymore because of Brady, but they probably should still look at it more like that. Although your guy's going to probably blow it up too, because he doesn't look like he's slowing down.
I think there could be some news on that front tomorrow too. We'll have to wait and see.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
You got inside info?
McAfee's teasing a big guest on Tuesday.
Oh,
I don't know
boy.
I don't know what else that could be.
Called shot, Michelle.
Could be.
That was my called shot, guys.
We'll see what happens. See what happens.
You're so giddy with excitement.
Yes, I am.
I am giddy.
I was talking about Robby, but you are too.
Wednesday morning, I'll show up with my Aaron Rodgers Packers jersey, or maybe he decides he wants to go play for the Washington Commanders. I don't know what's going to happen. We'll see what happens.
God, I hope so.
The Washington Commanders quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Be some good stuff. When we come back, we'll get into a little college basketball action. Tough weekend for Tennessee. What does it mean for the Vols as they move forward here? We'll get to that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Increasing clouds today with breezy conditions, a high of 66 degrees. Scattered showers and thunderstorms will be developing this afternoon and evening.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Now's the time to get a great deal on select Kubota compact tractors. Rated #1 for reliability in the under 100 horsepower category, they're designed for easy operation and feature performance-matched attachments. Right now, put 0 down and get 0% APR for up to 60 months, plus save up to $1,100. Now through February 28th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Come see why Coleman Tractor Company is one of the largest Kubota dealers in Middle Tennessee, Paris, Clarksville, Nashville, and their new location in White House.
Men, what if I told you that now you're able to get testosterone replacement therapy in the comfort of your own home? No more weekly trips to the doctor's office. We come to you 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Be seen by a licensed medical professional in the privacy and comfort of your own home or office. You decide. Schedule your appointment today at CoolSpringsMDformen.com.
Music City. Start a profitable new chapter of your life and be your own boss with your very own Little Guys Movers franchise. In fact, no matter where you are, from Green Hills to the Gulch to down in Franklin, if you can hear my voice, there's an affordable, profitable Little Guys franchise opportunity nearby. Use your existing 401k to invest in yourself. Financing options are available. Join a team with 30 plus years of growth and good times. Learn more at littleguysfranchise.com. That's littleguysfranchise.com. And then make that call.
Smokeville Smoke Shop has been serving Hendersonville and Metro Nashville since 2015 and is committed to providing high-quality, hands-on, and personable customer service. Stop into Smokeville Smoke Shops in Hendersonville, Gallatin, Hermitage, and Goodlettsville to try any of their wide selection of locally sourced products and selection of top nationwide brands, including vapes, hookah, hand-blown glass, detox systems, e-juices, kratom products, leaf wraps, and much more. Visit Smokeville Smoke Shops today.
A show that doesn't pull any punches.
And they win a playoff game and they get to the divisional round and he doesn't give up a sack the rest of the year. I don't give two poops. I'm done.
And has an opinion on everything.
That ref crew that was just terrible. Threw flags on almost every possession.
Jared Stillman hosts Stillman and Company.
Tough guy. He's a really tough guy.
Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6. Delivered by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 1025 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game. We'll be joined by Darren McFarland coming up to begin the 9 o'clock hour. We'll get his thoughts on the Nashville Predators as they try to end their 4-game losing streak coming up tomorrow against the Florida Panthers. Looking forward to that conversation with Darren here in just a few minutes. Right now, taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Joe, it was an interesting weekend on the college basketball front. Kentucky takes down Alabama. Florida takes down Auburn in the SEC. An interesting matchup between Tennessee and Arkansas. Quite honestly, it was a pretty brutal watch on Saturday. The first half, I think at halftime, I think Arkansas was shooting like 29% and Tennessee was around 26 or 27. It was pretty brutal in that game to watch the offensive flow. Lots of offensive fouls, lots of charges called in that game. At the end of the day, Arkansas walks out of there with a 58-48 win against the Vols. What did you think of the game? What do you think it means for the Vols as they move forward here? And the lackluster offense, the lack of flow on offense concern you at all, given what we've seen for the Vols offensively as of late?
It was very disappointing. And look, move it away from the officiating discussion, which is very frustrating. And I totally agree with anybody who watched that game and said, how could you call all these charges? It's frustrating, but the bottom line is it actually is pretty consistent in college basketball. Sadly, it's pretty consistent. They've added the flop rule, and still these officials will every once in a while give a flop warning, and then they'll just keep calling flops and rewarding players who slide under airborne offensive players and fall over, and just keep giving them the call over and over again, especially if it's a home player. So, I've seen the Vols benefit from this at TBA too.
Oh yeah.
But if you take it away from that, I mean, look, in this game, Kenny Chandler. Vescovy. It's just this is the thing. If Vescovy had his normal game, I think they still might win this game. He's 1 for 9 from 3. He's 2 for 13 overall. Yeah. He and Josiah James are combined 1 for 15. Josiah James goes 0 for 6. Throw in Kenny Chandler, that's a combined 2 for 20. So if those three guys are going to shoot like that, you can lose to anybody. The thing is, I still like a lot of what the Vols did in this game. I mean, Vescovy just had such a weird game. He has 11 rebounds, I mean, he's still like a really good player. And, Ziegler gives you 12 points off the bench. He came in and did his thing, 3 steals. But this team is still the concern I have in March is that one day where that's your shooting performance. Does Arkansas deserve credit for it? Absolutely. They're a good defensive team. They took away driving lanes. They did a great job against the 2 freshman point guards. They're good. They check people. But still, 2 for 20 from 3 guys that you need to get some shooting from. That's my concern on a given day in March is they have a game like that. And because the problem is also like they just don't have the guy you can throw the ball in the post to when you just need to get to the line or stop a run. And that's where I think the other day was the first time this year since Kamwa got hurt that they really could have used him and he could have made a difference in that particular game.
I agree. I still think there were some flashes there from Adu, and I think they're going to continue to use him more as they go down the stretch here. I mean, they'll see Arkansas again, by the way, so they'll have Arkansas at home coming up. I think to close out their SEC portion of the schedule in early March. But now you've got Missouri tomorrow for trying to get back on track. You take on Auburn on Saturday at 3:00, which is just going to be, I think, an awesome game at Thompson Bowling Arena. Got Georgia and then Arkansas to close out the season. I think Wes Rucker was who I saw put this out on Saturday, and I agree with it. It's shooting performances like the one against Arkansas and at times that we've seen throughout the season that just make this team, it's difficult to pick Tennessee to go on a long tournament run knowing that they can shoot like that, and it's happened far too often this year. Like it's difficult. And look, if they shoot the way they've shot against Kentucky and some of the last couple of weeks, Vandy, the way they shot, I mean, I think they've got a chance to make a deep run. But, it's games like this where the offense just kind of falls apart that makes this team, I think, difficult to trust heading into March.
Right. And then you got 5 assists and 15 turnovers, Yeah. I mean, it was just ugly all the way around. And I agree with that. That's where they do a lot of things well. They play good D, and they played good D on that day, I thought. I mean, they hung in because they can play defense. Their defense travels, but man, you can't have a shooting day like that. Another thing that was lost with this game, because Auburn loses, if Tennessee wins that game, they're playing Auburn Saturday potentially to draw into a tie for first and have a shot at a share of the SEC championship.
Yep.
I know the regular season championships, don't mean a ton, but Tennessee hasn't had a lot of those. So that was up for grabs, and now that's pretty much gone too. But the more important thing is the NCAA released its seedings, an update, which I like that the NCAA does this. So we can take a break from the bracketologists for a minute and say, this is what the committee would actually do right now. And Tennessee was a 3 seed. And that is that's where they want to be. I think if they won this game, you can even start thinking about a 2. But a 3 is great. When you get a 3, that means you avoid the 1 seed in your region until the Elite 8, if of course they get there. And I know I'm talking about Tennessee in the Elite 8, which is not a place they go. But still, as a 3 seed, you have a better chance of making a run than as a 4 or a 5 for sure.
Big win for Vandy over the weekend against Texas A&M. They're able to get it done. Their 14th win of the year and their 6th win in conference play as well. So, I mean, we've seen some pretty good improvement from Vanderbilt as the season has gone along this year. What stuck out to you about that performance, and how big is Liam Robbins going to be for this team coming down the stretch?
Well, big. And now he has 14-8. And of course, the game at Auburn, he had a few moments where you're like, ooh, busting a long 3, going and dunking on the head of a 7-foot future lottery. So you're seeing now why they were excited about Liam Robbins. it does not always work out this way, where a new player's coming in a transfer and, people, maybe the transfer is hurt and it's like, oh, this would be totally different with the transfer. Sometimes that stuff's overrated. I think it's pretty clear now that, to me, like if Liam Robinson had been available all year, I think we might be at least talking about Vanderbilt as a pretty solid bubble team. Shoot, if they had just beaten South Carolina both games, which they should have won both of them, they should have won one for sure, they'd be in a different spot. But Liam Robinson is going to make a difference. They are missing Rodney Chapman again. They hope to have him back. And this is a team that I think certainly has realistic NIT hopes. I don't think there's any question that this team has made progress now. That's undeniable from the first 2 years to this year that they've made progress. And now we'll see if they can, they've got a bunch of teams that are kind of bunched with them in the SEC standings. Ole Miss and Mississippi State, Florida just beat Auburn. Alabama tomorrow night. It's a big game. Alabama's one of those teams. We saw like the best and worst of Alabama against Kentucky the other day. They can go on runs and just be overwhelming, and then boy, they can also be not overwhelming. But it's overall, I gotta think that some of the Vanderbilt fan base, if you're out on Stackhouse, I guess you can still be out on him. But I would hope most people would look at this and say, okay, you can see where some of what his vision is can work for this team, and there is progress being made. There's some players, again, player development. Quentin Malora-Brown. A year ago, I'm like, that guy, he's not a D1 player. He's just not. Well, look at him now. That's a guy who's gotten way better in his time at Vanderbilt.
Well, and as you said, Vanderbilt taking on Alabama tomorrow. They've got Mississippi State, Florida, and Ole Miss to close out the season as well. Joe, I want to get your thoughts on this because this happened right as we were going off the air on Friday. We've kind of seen this coming for a while now. But the College Football Playoff Committee making it official that they're going to operate under this contract that expires following the 2025 season, which essentially means there will be no college football playoff expansion until at least after the 2025 season. We've talked about the 12-team format. We talked about, could there be a way where they get that done and maybe it's a 12-team as soon as next year? That's not going to happen. It's going to be a 14 playoff through 2025. Your reaction to how this has happened and what this means for the College Football Playoff Committee as they move forward here?
Well, it just means the fans lose. And this issue that everybody can see now is not going to be addressed because these guys can't get together and figure things out. It's infighting and stabbing each other in the back. And you know what? I think in particular for me, the ACC and the way they've gone about this, I think is ridiculous. But this is what Greg Sankey did coming back on him too, And again, the SEC is going to be fine either way. They're going to be fine in the 4-team, and they're going to be fine expanded. They're going to have more teams than anybody else in the expanded. They're going to be right there to win it every year in the 4-team. So they're okay. But everybody else being mad at them has now created this unfortunate situation. You can't. This is toothpaste back in the tube, right? Everybody's prepared for this to happen. We're talking about how exactly it should look, and now we have to sit here for another bunch of seasons with a 14 playoff, which, given the state of the game right now, just isn't exciting to me. It's going to be, and I understand the people who argue, well, okay, 12-team playoffs, still going to be the same teams that win it. Yes, but the tournament itself would be better. There'd be some good games in the tournament, and the regular season and winning conference championships would again mean something to people. They've been heavily devalued.
They have been heavily devalued, and we'll see if at some point they can get the 12-team proposal figured out. There's been a whole lot of hurt feelings that have taken place throughout this process, and ultimately it does not get done. There will be a 14 college football playoff through 2025. When we come back, we'll be joined by Darren McFarland, host of Darren Donica's Chase. We'll get his thoughts on the Nashville Predators as they try to end a 4-game losing streak coming up tomorrow against the Florida Panthers. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Take us wherever you may go. There is going to be a whole lot of work going on. Shoot us in anywhere, anytime.
I think he has some big play in him.
Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 1025 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Catch your breath. This is the Commodore Report. I'm Kevin Ingram. Hard to keep track of everything going on this weekend on the Vanderbilt campus. We had a top 10 matchup to start the baseball season for the third-ranked Vandy boys, hosting number 7 Oklahoma State. The Cowboys won 2 out of 3 with a 7-5 victory on Sunday at Hawkins Field. A pair of ninth-inning doubles made the difference after the Commodores had rallied to tie with 2 runs in the 8th. Javier Vaz had 2 hits, including his first Vandy home run, and he scored 3 runs on the day. Tim Corbin's team plays again Tuesday against North Alabama. Next door at Memorial, a big win for men's basketball Saturday. Vanderbilt defeated Texas A&M 72-67 for a 6th win in SEC play. Both teams had 20 turnovers, but Stack's crew defended and took care of the ball on the stretch run, led by Scottie Pippen Jr.'s 24 points. Liam Robbins had 14 with 8 boards, and Jordan Wright had 15 with 6 of Vanderbilt's 13 steals. 4 games to play. Up next, it's Alabama on Tuesday. Congratulations to Vandy basketball alum and Nashville native Darius Garland of the Cavaliers, appearing in his first NBA All-Star game last night. It was in his home arena up in Cleveland. Vanderbilt women's basketball came up short against Ole Miss on Sunday, 57-47. Freshman Ayanna Moore scored 19 to lead the Commodores. They forced 27 turnovers, but saw Ole Miss go on a 16-2 run to finish the game. Big win in lacrosse Saturday. Vanderbilt upset 12th-ranked Notre Dame 14-12. And don't forget Commodore Hour coming up tonight, 6 o'clock on the Vanderbilt Sports Network. That is the Commodore Report on 102.5 The Game and ESPN 94.9.
Shop today at Social Furniture during their President's Day sale. You'll find everything for your home on sale now, and they have same-day delivery. Use Social Furniture's financing plan and pay no interest for 1 full year. For a limited time, they have designer sofas, solid wood bedroom furniture, leather sofas, and sectionals in stock now. Social Furniture's President's Day sale going on now through President's Day. Visit Social Furniture on Charlotte Avenue in West Nashville. Shop local. Shop social. Social Furniture is a proud supporter of your Nashville Predators.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, with Stillman and Company.
Surprise, surprise!
I write down what was good, what was bad.
Afternoons from 2 to 6
On ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
A Cromwell Media Station.
It's Robby and Rexrode with Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in. Final hour of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game, brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robbie Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning. And as we do every Monday morning at 9 o'clock, we welcome in Darren McFarland to the program. Host of Darren, Donick, and Chase, also handles the Nashville Predators pre- and post-game duties for the Nashville Predators radio network. Darren, what's going on? How we doing?
Guys, I feel like Eeyore today. It's just not a good start. Just getting old sucks.
Not going well?
No. I'm sitting here. I look so pathetic. If you guys, I'm so glad this is radio. And no, I'm not turning on Zoom because I look just so pathetic. I'm sitting here, my leg propped up. I've got a big bag of ice on my right knee. It's just sad that I can't do anything without getting hurt. It's unbelievable. Now you know why I don't show up to your pickup games, Joe, because I would be dead. I would forget just being in the hospital. I would be dead. I can't, my body just won't let me be active. I mean, we get outdoors for the first time yesterday, first outdoor practice with our team, and I'm showing the boys how to do jump squats. And literally the first jump squat I do, my knee pops. And I'm like, oh boy.
Jeez.
Yeah, here we go. So I spent the next hour and 45 minutes limping around the ball field. And I knew I was in big trouble because I've been down this road before. And I'm like, so I go get my fate today after the show. But it's like, here we go again. It's unbelievable. So
that is not fun, my friend.
That's
We're
my
sorry to hear that.
That's my boo-hoo story. So there you go.
What have you had? You've had serious knee stuff?
Yeah. Unfortunately, yes, Joe.
That sucks, man.
It's not. I'm not biased to one particular knee. Like they both suck. So I never know. Left, right. This one happens to be the right, but It's like, here we go again. So crutches and all kinds of stuff. Get ready. I've been down this road before.
If I know Darren McFarland, those boys now know how to do jump squats. The form, I bet, was perfect on that one that he tried for.
Yeah, I didn't stick the landing, though, because when my knee popped, I was like, oh, boy, trouble.
Well, Darren, we hope you get to feeling better and that the news is good on the knee front.
Yeah,
what are your thoughts on this? Yeah, fingers crossed for sure. What are your thoughts on this hockey team right now? Obviously, they've lost 4 games in a row. I don't think by any means it's time to panic or anything like that. You're still in a playoff spot. I read off the money puck stat earlier. You still got over a 61% chance to make the playoffs at this point. But as you watch this team play coming off the break, losing 4 in a row, what do you see with this group right now? And I guess how concerned are you about what you've watched from this Predators team the last 4 games?
Well, I'm not terribly concerned, but there are things to look at and now, heavily discuss, which are more than fair. One, throughout the course of an 82-game season, we've all been trained in this market. We understand how this works, that unless you've got that special team that's going to have that special season and be the President's Trophy winner, you're going to just be talking about bad patches throughout a course of a season. It's just going to happen. It's not if, it's when. And they're going through their bad patch, and they're just 50 games into an 82-game season. So there's still a long ways to go. Just think about it. They've still got over 30 games left in the regular season. A lot can happen with that. So with that being said, not too concerned, but the schedule is not going to help them out, right? Like, the good news is they've got Florida tomorrow night. Oh, wait a minute. That's right. Florida's basically the best team in the league. I think they're 1 point behind Colorado for being the best team in the league. And we're not surprised by Florida's success. We're not surprised by Carolina's success. We're not surprised by Tampa's success because we saw them a million times last year in the Predators division, right? We knew they were good teams. And, that's what's on the horizon. They just got through playing Carolina on Friday night. And next up is Florida, then a desperate Dallas team who I watched gag a game last night against the Coyotes. Like, dude,
Yikes.
Like if you want to get in the playoffs, like, if you're trying to make a push, like you can't lose to Arizona. Like you're going to lose games, I get it, but you can't lose to Arizona if you're a desperate hockey team. They lost to Arizona last night. But you're going to get, still, we know the Dallas and Nashville rivalry is going to be heated, and Dallas is going to be desperate like a lot of these teams they've been playing. Washington was a desperate team. Winnipeg was a desperate team. And Dallas is what started this losing streak, and they were a desperate team. And then you get Tampa in the Stadium Series. So it's not going to get any easier for the rest of the month. But, I do think, Robbie, there are things, Joe, to talk about. Like, they're not scoring as much anymore. Their scoring has gone down in this losing streak. The scoring was up when they were playing really well. It's gone down. What did they have? They had 1 goal against Washington, 2 goals against Winnipeg, and if it wasn't for the, basically the flurry with the extra attacker in the third period on Friday, it would have been basically another 1 or 2 goal game again. And we know 1 or 2 goals, this team is not going to do more winning than losing if that's what they're going to have, 1 or 2 goals in a game. It's probably going to result in a loss more times than not. And just, the other thing is just the constant penalties. Mark Borowiecki going down didn't help in the first period. And look, these are all things that happen to teams, and so they have to get past all that. But, they're going to have to be better moving forward. But I think John Hines put it well. When you're in a losing streak and you've lost your identity, that's the time to probably hit the panic button or be concerned. But if you haven't lost your identity and you're still losing, games, I think there's reason to be optimistic that you can pull out of it. I think that was a fair quote.
Is there anything, Darren, lineup-wise that you think could help this team find some more offense?
I mean, it's a good question, Joe. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think there's a couple of young guys. I mean, we know Cousins is not in the lineup, and Cousins doesn't bring the offensive punch. He brings more of the nastiness, and Borowiecki doesn't bring the offensive punch either. But I think really what you're asking is, is Tolvanen doing enough? Is Tomasino doing enough? Well, I really like those guys a lot, and I think they're playing the right way. I think there's a reason why they're in the lineup, right? If they weren't playing the right way, I mean, Tolvanen, I truly at times. I think he is snake bitten at times. Like, I like his game, and then I'm like, but they did bring him in to score. I mean, he is there to score goals. And you could certainly make a case that some of the younger guys, are not giving them enough offensive punch. And so maybe there's somebody in Milwaukee that you could bring up to maybe spark something, maybe give somebody, a couple games off. I mean, I think it's a fair question, and I'm sure they're examining all that, right? I'm sure that they're talking about it. Typically, when we ask this question and we answer it, who are we talking about? Well, they need more from Matt Duchene. They need more from Ryan Johansson. Philip Forsberg needs to get back in the lineup. It's like the typical go-to answer. Well, that's not the case this year. We're not talking about that. And then you've got, the season that Tanner Jeannot has put in. So, Granlund's just steady. Granlund does what he does, and Yossi does what he does. And so you don't have your typical answer. I think the only way you could answer that with a yes, and maybe with somebody from Milwaukee, is if we're talking about some of the younger guys that are here to score goals. I like the way they're playing, but maybe they could say in this losing streak, we need you to score goals. You're not scoring goals. We're going to let you sit out for a couple of games, bring somebody up, and then, maybe reinsert you back in the lineup shortly after that. That would be my best answer on that. I think it's a fair question. I don't have an exact – Milwaukee's having a good season. Connor Ingram, by the way, is doing fantastic in goal. But, I mean, Cody Glass is doing well, but it questions – I don't know how you guys feel about it. I do wonder, and I realize he's still very young, but it's like we've heard this before out of Cody Glass, right? It's like, okay, yep. He goes down there and he does really well, and then he comes back to the NHL level, and it's like, ugh. It's like, is he just a 4A player? I don't know. I'm not ready to tag him as as we would say in baseball, the 4A player kills it in AAA, but he gets to the majors and it's just not good enough, and he's like in that in-between place. I don't know. I mean, Rocco Grimaldi continues to score goals. You bring him back up maybe to give him a chance. I don't know. I don't know what that dynamic is like. I mean, we know how it, there's been kind of a clash with what he wants and what they want. So I don't know. But I do think whenever things like this are going on, this is when you start seeing coaches changing up lineups, right? Changing lines, and maybe think about bringing people up.
Darren McFarland on with us here on Robby and Rexrode. So, Darren, obviously, I mean, you said it. It starts tomorrow against Florida. This is a heck of a week for the Predators coming up. You've got the Panthers, obviously a gigantic game against the Stars, both for, Pekka Rinne's jersey retirement ceremony and for the game itself. The 2 points on the line on Thursday. And then, some event called the Stadium Series coming up on Saturday as well. What do you think of this week? How much do you think we learn about this group, this hockey team this week with the quality of competition they're about to face?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot, but I think we've learned because they've been facing, I think, quality and desperate competition. So I think what we need to learn, Robbie, is can they pull out when they get in the bad patch? Can this team pull themselves out? And they're not going to get an opportunity against, it's not going to be Arizona or the Islanders, teams that are having a really, really bad season. It's not Arizona and Chicago and Seattle and I'm trying to think who else. Montreal has been awful, and Buffalo. And you could say, okay, well, pull yourself out against these crappy teams. They're going to have to bring their best, or they're going to get the same fate. I mean, these teams are not going to let up. These teams, Florida may end up being the best team in the regular season this year. So it's a big week. It's a big week for a lot of reasons. One, changing the narrative with the losing streak. Two, Pekka's night on Thursday, and it's against Dallas. So it's like a double big night. And, Saturday, for obvious reasons, yet again, two-time defending Stanley Cup champs at Nissan Stadium, this big, massive hockey game at a football stadium in our market. So it's huge on a lot of fronts, and we'll see how they respond, and I'll be curious to see what we're talking about this time next week.
What are you most looking forward to of all these things going on this week, Darren?
I'm most looking forward to finding out if I'm screwed or not today at like 2 o'clock. But anyway, after that, what am I most looking forward to? It's hard, right? It's like asking who's your favorite kid. What's your, those questions that are impossible to answer. Like Thursday and Saturday, like how do you choose? Like they're both huge nights. The magnitude of Pekka Rinne, what he has meant to this market, this franchise, his career, or doing something they've never done. I mean, it's going to be a really special night. By the way, get in your seats before 6 o'clock, okay? I know the game starts at 7:30, but the ceremony is going to be much earlier. I mean, they prefer being there by 5:45, 5:50. But then also, Joe, how do you discount what's going to happen Saturday? We've also never seen that before in this market. Yes, we were all at the Winter Classic in Dallas, and that was cool, but that was in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl. This is in our backyard. This is at Nissan Stadium. So, I mean, they're both equally cool. I mean, what am I looking forward to the most? I can't answer that. I'm just looking forward to a really, really fun and special week.
It's going to be an awesome week here in Nashville. I don't think there's any question about it. Darren McFarland, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode, joins us every Monday morning at 9 o'clock. Darren, heal up, my friend. Sorry for the bad news. We'll catch you coming up here in about 45 minutes on Darren, Donick, and Chase.
Yeah, I'll hobble away. Thank you, guys. As always, enjoyed it.
Thank you, Darren. We'll come back. We'll react to what Darren had to say there. Welcome your thoughts on the Predators on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. How concerned are you about the 4-game losing streak with the Florida Panthers coming up tomorrow? They're staring right down the barrel of a tough week as well. We'll get to that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Every Thursday at 1 on Darren, Donick, and Chase, we're joined by Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman for the best inside knowledge on the NHL. It's all brought to you by Bank of England Mortgage on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
This is Chef John from Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville. Inviting you to come join us for breakfast and lunch. We're offering some exciting new menu items. We have Grandma's famous chicken and dumpling soup. We're offering a fun and new exciting Nashville hot battered shrimp. We're also very excited about our confit chicken hash. Join us in Kitchen Notes for our award-winning patty melt made with our house-made pimento cheese, local Blackhawk Farms beef patty. Come join us in Kitchen Notes and create a memorable experience here at the Omni Hotel. Food is all about memories for us. We'd like you to start a new memory here at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Hotel.
Lunch at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
The 2022 SEC Women's Basketball Tournament is back in Nashville as Bridgestone Arena hosts the annual celebration of SEC's Women's Hoops March 2nd through the 6th. Join us and experience the bright lights of the Music City as we crown a champion. Tickets are on sale now, so contact your university ticket office or head to secsports.com. SEC Women's Basketball. It just means more.
Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience and make every moment more by betting on all the action on FanDuel Sportsbook. Joe Rexrode here to let you know lots of reasons why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. One, it's a simple-to-use app. Great odds on all different betting markets, unique fun bet types like the same-game parlay, and there's always promotions going on like enhanced odds boosts on the biggest events. You also get paid quickly. The product features are great. There's all kinds of fun to be had, money to be won. And right now, FanDuel's letting you place your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. Place it on any game. You get up to $1,000 back if you don't win. No strings attached. Any bet you want. If you win, you keep the cash. If you lose, you get your money back in site credit. If you've never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, now's a great time. Download the app. Get started. Be sure to sign up with promo code Joe102 so they know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook. Promo code Joe102. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued is now withdrawable site credit expires in 7 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 800-889-9789.
Hey, it's Jared for TriStar Moving. If you're looking to move, you need to give my friends at TriStar Moving a call. At TriStar Moving, you'll get 5-star service throughout the entire process. Everything will be taken care of, from covering your floors, banisters, railings, front door thresholds, furniture, TVs, and more. They took great care of my move and made it as stress-free as possible. If you're looking to move, give TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit them at nashvillemoving.org/radio and get 5% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics wants to thank their patients for voting them the #1 orthopedic practice in the Nashville Scene Poll for 3 years in a row. Their physicians specialize in spine, joint replacement, knee, hip, upper extremity, and other orthopedic conditions. At Houston Clinic Orthopedics, they adhere to all CDC guidelines for the patient's and staff safety. To experience world-class orthopedic care and see a list of all physicians, visit their website at tn.houston.com and book your appointment online today.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Robby and Rexrode on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio here with you on this Monday morning, taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Thanks to Darren McFarland for joining us in the last segment. The Nashville Predators, they lose again on Friday to Carolina. They now dropped 4 games in a row. They're at the number 1 wild card spot right now in the West. They've at 60 points, 1 point ahead of LA, 3 points ahead of Anaheim, who's played 2 more games than they have, and 4 points ahead of Dallas as well. Joe, they've lost to some good teams along the way, especially the last 2, Washington and Carolina. They've got Florida coming up tomorrow, which, as Darren pointed out in the last segment, Florida might be the best team in the league right now. What's your concern level at this point, if you're a Preds fan, about the 4 losses in a row and what this next week brings to the table with Florida, a big one against Dallas, and then Tampa Bay coming up on Saturday as well?
Well, it's not non-existent. There's some concern, but I agree with what Darren said. You're going to have these patches. You're going to have good ones, and it's been still a lot more good than bad this year. And then you're going to have bad ones. It seems like sometimes you just get into you have a bad loss, or you have a mistake-laden loss. They obviously have not been able to stay out of the box, and then it's like all of a sudden you're hitting posts left and right too, and that goes to the whole. I guess that goes to so many hockey cliches, like gripping the stick a little too tightly, right? Huh? But it happens. It does. And then you get in a good way, and you get those breaks. So it's a concern. It's not great to be playing at Florida tomorrow night when you're in the middle of this. This is going to be a huge week, one way or the other. This is going to be a huge week, and for all the pomp and circumstance around 2 huge events that mean more than a particular stretch of a season or whatever. These are big deals. This is the first player retired for the Preds, the best player in history, and then it's a Stadium Series game here. I still would also look at just the outcome of Thursday's game also as very big. You got Dallas right on your heels, and they just beat you to help get themselves in a better spot. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this team handles also just all the outside stuff. Does that galvanize them, help them, or does that turn out to be a distraction, and they really continue to sink here in this losing streak?
Well, I brought this up earlier. A couple of weeks ago, they had, I think, around a 95% chance of making the playoffs on Money Puck. Now, look, these things are not, gospel when it comes to what this means for the playoffs. I think at one point last year, the Predators had like a 1% chance to make the playoffs, and they ended up doing it. So we understand that these things change very rapidly. It is down to, I think, 61.5 right now is the percentage for the Predators. So you're talking about basically in a 2-week span, 30% drop by the Predators when it comes to their playoff odds. I'm not panicking yet. I am concerned. And part of the concern, I think, comes from when this is taking place. You're coming off the All-Star break, and the schedule's just hard right now. And the schedule's hard from a quality competition standpoint. It's about to get hard from, a physical standpoint of you're playing every other day. So, you don't want to let this drag on too far. It's not a great time, in my opinion, to be playing Florida. I kind of allowed myself on Friday to believe, okay, well, it's Carolina. It's a team that you're very familiar with. It's a good team. It's going to require your best going on the road. And then it just turns out that Carolina is really good, and they were tough to handle on Friday. Florida is, I think, better than Carolina is. So you're going to have to be really good tomorrow to win that game. I'm interested to see, to Darren's point, this is really the first extended bad patch that they've had this year. Can they find a way to dig themselves out of it? It's going to happen at some point. Can you dig your way out of it? And can maybe this serve you well in the long run in terms of finding ways to dig out of stuff like that? I still think, this is a tough ask going into Florida tomorrow and pulling off a win. That team is just an absolute machine right now. So you don't want to let this thing get going too quickly. I'm not panicking yet, but you don't want to let this losing streak reach 5, 6, 7 games by the end of the week. Because if we get through this week and they've lost all 3 games, we're going to be having probably a different conversation next week.
Oh, no question. It would be hugely disappointing to again, the most important one is Thursday, just from a outcome perspective. That's the game you got to have.
Agreed.
But I mean, it's almost like, I almost feel like there's a foregone conclusion that it's going to be a 5-game losing streak heading into that game. And right now, the way they're playing, the way Florida's playing, the fact that it's on the road, I mean, I get it, but that could also maybe be a game tomorrow that gets them flipped the other way. That would be a real handy streak stopper to beat that team. Another one of those measuring up kind of games, and then bring that into Thursday. But regardless, yeah, you can't have an 0 for week here. And again, there are 2 teams that could win the whole thing on the schedule this week, without question. 2 of these teams could win the whole thing. Dallas is a team that, I mean, you gotta win that game. You win that game this week, it's still not great, and you're still talking about 6 losses in 7 games, but it's salvageable.
It is salvageable at that point. I think there's an interesting decision for John Hines coming up tomorrow, because we had him on the show last week, and he made it sound like, heading into the Carolina-Florida 2-game stretch there, that David Riddick could get one of those 2 games in goal for the Predators. You go out and you lose to Carolina on Friday, you get all day Saturday off, you have Sunday, you have Monday, and then you play Tuesday against Florida. So that's 3 full days of rest for UC Saros. I wonder if Saros doesn't just get trotted back out tomorrow. Florida has been prolific offensively this year. I mean, the amount of goals that they've scored, it's been ridiculous what they've been able to do offensively. I could see a path of, all right, well, we'll just have Riddick have this game, and you're taking the lead in this game. Give Saros a break before 2 huge ones come up later this week. I will say, though, if I'm John Hines, I'm probably giving Saros every game this week. I know that we've talked about at some point you got to rest him, but I just think with the situation being what it is, you have to put your best foot forward, and I'm probably going Saros tomorrow if I'm the coach.
I'm going to guess that because he was comfortable saying that on our show last week, that he's going to stick with it. And one thing about playing Riddick tomorrow night is, if you want to talk about taking pressure off your team, that does kind of do that, right? It's like, okay, playing Florida, this might be the best team in the league. We're on the road, losing streak, and Riddick's in goal. So everyone thinks you're going to lose 7-2. A little bit of that. And I think, to your point, one, obviously there's a ton of work coming up for Saros. Next month is going to be crazy. But it is, even though it's not the physical, grueling situation of back-to-back or anything like that, these 2 nights coming up are huge. And obviously they're going to need him it's just like, you have your mentor, being honored, before the 1 game. And then obviously the Stadium Series is just a totally different deal for everybody. But I get the idea of, what, give him a few days to just clear his head, rest up before those 2.
Go to our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Paul texting in says, are you guys concerned if they fall out of a playoff spot at this time of the year, this close to the trade deadline, that it might cost us Philip Forsberg? This is coming from Paul on the text line. Do you think that Forsberg may be waiting to see the next few weeks how this plays out before he makes his decision?
Well, he has an active role in how it plays out, for one thing.
He does.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, I think that this team's performance and the emergence of quite a few players here in the last year or so must have improved his outlook for the franchise moving forward. I suppose, if this gets bad, maybe he changes his mind. But again, I think it's a much bigger discussion than that for Forsberg.
I mean, at this point, I would hope that his mind on that part of it is made up one way or the other. Either he likes the direction it's going in, or he doesn't. But I don't really know if you're Forsberg, how you could really be on the fence right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to me, that discussion is term, money, no trade, all that stuff, no movement clause.
Yeah.
That's what it's about to me. It's got to be.
We'll continue the conversation on the Predators. Welcome more of your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025, The Game.
Tuesday night.
Yoshi passes to Forsberg, and he's got his second of the night.
The Predators continue their road trip as they head to Florida to take on the Panthers. Pre-game at 5, face-off at 6 on Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, what's going on? It's Chase McCabe. Enjoy all your favorite sports like never before at, you guessed it, my friends at BetMGM. Just sign up using the code 1025GAME, and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, my favorite, live betting options, player props, and daily boosted odds specials. Plus, you'll earn BetMGM rewards points that can be redeemed for online bonuses or converted into comps for rooms, restaurants, and more at over 20 MGM resorts in Las Vegas and nationwide. Just download the BetMGM app today or go to BetMGM.com. Use that code 1025GAME and place your first wager risk-free up to $1,000. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
It's Family Leisure's President's Day sale.
Wait, President's Day?
Well, it's in honor of all our presidents, and it means great deals for everyone.
Okay, like what?
Well, pools and spas for one. Family Leisure has the largest selection and guarantees the lowest prices anywhere, even compared to the internet.
What about grills and grill islands?
Of course, everything is on sale for 4 days at Family Leisure, even the smokers, grills, and grill islands. But I am more excited about the patio furniture. The new styles are arriving, and there are still great deals on the remaining floor models.
Wow! Great prices, great selection, and guaranteed lowest prices. Sounds like a great time to shop Family Leisure.
That's right, a 4-day only sale at Family Leisure, just in time for spring.
Family Leisure, both locations, Antioch and Franklin.
Middle Tennessee, you can count on an award-winning service team for all your home maintenance and improvement needs. Lee Company, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and trusted by thousands of homeowners in our community. Our team is ready to assist with all your home maintenance projects, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, appliance service, and more. Experience the convenience of calling one phone number for all your home maintenance needs. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
Shop today at Social Furniture during their President's Day sale. You'll find everything for your home on sale now, and they have same-day delivery. Use Social Furniture's financing plan and pay no interest for 1 full year. For a limited time, they have designer sofas, solid wood bedroom furniture, leather sofas, and sectionals in stock now. Social Furniture's President's Day sale going on now through President's Day. Visit Social Furniture on Charlotte Avenue in West Nashville. Shop local. Shop social. Social Furniture is a proud supporter of your Nashville Predators.
Tonight is a matchup in the Big Ten.
Anderson +1, and he'll go to the line.
As Oklahoma State heads to Kansas.
Abaji from deep, and they get another.
Coverage begins at 7:30
on ESPN
94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, this is Jordan Rogers, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robby Stanley alongside Joe Rexrode and Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. As we said earlier on the show, Joe, today is National Sticky Bun Day. We're a month away from the trade deadline in the NHL. On the trade deadline is National Common Courtesy Day. What do we think of that? Lots of days out here upcoming.
Interesting. So I guess if you're a fan of a team that does something you don't like, you still need to be nice and kind and not tweet mean things.
Yeah, common courtesy.
That. Yeah. So it's right. Sticky Bun Day. Very
maybe every day should be Common Courtesy Day, I think.
That's a fair point too.
They got a day for it. I'm just saying. Be a little bit extra courteous that day, I guess.
Yeah. And hey, National Sticky Bun Day. I mean, I guess I like sticky buns, I guess. But like I
day
prefer,
for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're okay. But like again, I hope that there's a National Cinnamon Roll Day. I hope there's a National Glazed Donut Day. I mean, I could go through all kinds of pastries that I would give a day to before sticky buns.
Yeah, me too. Paul texting back in says, I don't mean Forsberg, mind. I mean Poyles. If we aren't in a playoff spot, do you think he's less likely to let Forsberg potentially walk for nothing when a potential playoff run is in question? If in Poyles' mind, Forsberg is the deadline pickup and we aren't in a spot and Forsberg refuses to sign before the deadline, I could see Poyle trading him for assets. This coming from Paul on the text line.
I doubt it.
I doubt it as well. I will say, I feel like that's a little bit more likely today than it was this time last week, just based on where they are in the standings right now. Like if it continues to go this way and, a month from now, they're 6 points out of a playoff spot, then I think maybe you start to reevaluate things if you're David Poyle. Now, I don't really see that happening because, again, they're fighting to fall completely out of the playoffs. Like right now, you're fighting with the Kings, who I don't think are very good, the Ducks, who I don't think are very good, and the Stars, who just lost last night to the Coyotes. And now that makes Thursday's game huge against Dallas. Like you need to win that game, and you need to win that game in regulation. I guess I would be surprised if at this time a month from now they're 6 points out of a playoff spot.
Right. Now it's also not just that. I mean, look, I continue to believe that David Poyle on Darren Donick and Chase gave a gentle little nudge to Forsberg's representation.
Yeah.
And so if you get to that point and you have both things, which is, like you've had a fade in the standings and you're really concerned about where the season's going and you're still just not there. Okay. Well, then I think you at least have to start. You got to field calls and you got to see what could be done. Which is amazing that we're talking about that. Because again, it's like beginning of the year, you have to trade them. 3 weeks ago, of course, there's zero chance they're trading him, and they have a great chance of signing him. And now, you just all it takes is a losing streak, and you start thinking the other way again.
Go back to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Got a texter that says we need more offense. Bring back Novak. Send McCarron to the bench. That's coming from a texter on the text line. I've seen a lot of that. Look, I think Novak did a good job while he was here. I don't really know what happened there in terms of why he's all of a sudden not there. I mean, Michael McCarron is a bigger guy and I guess fits more the identity with the way they want to play. I thought Novak did a fine job. Now, I will say, you're talking about a guy that had 1 goal and 7 points in 27 games. So I don't know how much offense is going to change with Tommy Novak coming in there, but I think certainly analytically that fourth line was better when Novak was on it.
Yeah, I don't know that that's some huge game changer, but I mean, look, there's a lot of little moves that can be made and I'm sure are being discussed and considered right now. And we've talked earlier in the show about, you move Tomasino different line. As Darren was discussing, Cody Glass is having a good year in Milwaukee. So at some point, does he get another look? I'm sure something is going to change.
What do you think about the Rocco idea? Like Rocco he's put up 21 in Milwaukee. Obviously,
I'm never against Rocco.
No, I love me some Rocco Grimaldi. Now, obviously, there came a point where the way that he plays the game, the size or lack thereof, it just wasn't a mesh with the way this team was going. He is lighting it up. To his credit, he's gone down there and he's responded pretty well. Like, I wonder if that's a route they could take at any point. It's pretty obvious last year, especially, defensively, it did not go up to John Hines' standards with Rocco Grimaldi. And honestly, I really don't know how much that's going to change just based on his size. Like, I think there are limitations to what he can be defensively because of his size. But I do wonder, like, do you go if the offense continues to be dried up in terms of secondary scoring, is there a point where you say, you know what? Let's get Rocco back up here, see what he can do.
I don't think you completely rule it out. Little guys can play hockey too.
They can.
This franchise used to have a lot of them. And no longer does have any. But look, he can give
in the league. I've always found to be ridiculous. He's put up 43 points in 35 games down there. He's got 21 goals. He's eviscerating the AHL with the way he's playing. So he's obviously still good enough to be in the NHL. I think it's more about fit than anything else. And I just wonder, like, if in John Hines' mind, maybe that ship has sailed because, guys keep getting hurt. Like, Nick Cousins got hurt. They brought up Cole Smith. They didn't bring up Rocco Grimaldi. They brought up Tommy Novak. They brought up Michael McCarron. They've done all these different things. And Rocco's not really been a part of it, save for a stretch where they had a big COVID issue and Rocco was up then. So I almost wonder in John Hines' mind if maybe that ship with Rocco has sailed a little bit.
Yeah, probably. But what if it gets to the point where you continue to lose and lacking offense is a huge part of that, that's where sometimes you got to be a little more desperate. Again, I agree with you. Rocco Grimaldi is an NHL forward. He is a dangerous player. He's got speed. He can finish. He's given this team some really good stretches. So I think you're right that for the most part, it's like, okay, this is how we want to play. Doesn't quite work with him. So give some other guys who maybe fit that billing a little bit better a chance first. But at some point, you could get there.
Kyle on the text line says Novak was a really good center, but adding him on the fourth line won't do that much because he only plays 10 minutes a night, whereas Michael McCarron takes those minutes and also munches the PK minutes as well. I don't think it helps much because then a different forward has to play penalty kill, which is even worse since Cousins is on the mend as well. Who's coming from Kyle on the text line. Yeah, I don't know that the answer to all the Predators' problems right now is Tommy Novak. Like, you got to get some more scoring. I would be interested to see, could they move Tomasino up a little bit on a semi-permanent basis? Like, just see what he can do there for the next few games. Maybe. I don't know. Like, maybe that's a route they go. Number one, you got to stop taking penalties because your penalty kill has kind of hit the skids as of late. And number two, like, some of it has been bad luck. They've hit a lot of posts. They've got to find a way to finish on some of those chances. Darren's right. The scoring's dried up. If not for that late flurry the other night against Carolina, you're talking about a game where Winnipeg, you scored 2, Washington, you score 1, and they had 1 for the majority of the game the other night. They got to find a way to get more offense on the board early.
Right. And some of it is, we can talk about lineup changes. We can talk about bring this guy up or whatever. It's, look, it won't take too long. I mean, I know Forsberg ended up getting on the board the other day, but it's the constant need. This team badly needs those top guys to just stay consistent. It's asking a lot, but if they have even a little bit of a downstretch for a period, it's going to show up.
Yeah,
based on the lack of secondary scoring, which has been pretty consistent.
I got a texter that says, didn't we all think before the season that the competitive rebuild would have stretches like this? A lot of franchises missed the playoffs for years while rebuilding. Not that we Preds fans want that. I mean, yeah, look.
Yeah.
The fact that they're in a 4-game losing streak right now, at some point that was going to happen. Now, how quickly can you dig yourself out? I think that's the question as they move forward here. It's not really something they've had to do. Yeah.
Right. I mean, because you got these 2 huge franchise moment events. But it's also, it really is like, okay, can you bounce back, measure up against a couple of great teams, fend off a team that's chasing you, handle all the distractions, and turn this around before it becomes a real problem? Because certainly they could lose all 3 this week, and that would also put a little damper on these 2 celebrations that deserve to have, their moments.
That's the thing. Like, if I'm John Hines, I mean, heck, if I'm a Predators fan, I'm embracing the Pecorine stuff. It's going to be awesome. I'm embracing the stadium series. It's going to be awesome. Bottom line, if I'm John Hines, at the end of the day, I don't really care about those 2 things. You got to get some wins. Like, you got to go get some points with your group right now. And that's an interesting balance they're going to have, because obviously there's a lot of pomp and circumstance around them this week. I'm interested to see how that affects the way they play. And I don't really know what the answer to that's going to be.
Right. Like, I would anticipate hair on fire Thursday night, but sometimes that can hurt you too.
Yeah.
It's just, it's just hard to tell. I guess I would anticipate the same thing Saturday. And again, that's a different deal. In the meantime, maybe they go out with Riddick tomorrow and pull the stunner, and everybody feels a lot better before they even get to Thursday.
Yeah, maybe so. Joe Rexrode, that's going to do it for you today, my friend. We'll see you in the morning.
Sounds good. Got to take little brother to the airport, so you guys can make fun of me last segment. And by the way, Sean on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHoney.com, I didn't know what a Pumice Stone is.
Pumice Stone, Joe.
Pumice Stone. But thank you for the offer, and I appreciate that you're still in love with my feet.
Yes, as do we all. Joe Rexrode will be back at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Michelle and I coming back next. Got more of your thoughts to get to on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025, The Game.
From Fox 17 News, this is a Code Red weather alert.
I'm Fox 17 News Code Red meteorologist Dan Guthrie. Increasing clouds today with breezy conditions, a high of 66 degrees. Scattered showers and thunderstorms will be developing this afternoon and evening.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Nothing makes one feel better than the ability to give to someone in need. You have the power to give the most important gift of all, the gift of life, with a donation of your blood. Supplies are desperately low in our area, and your help is needed. Blood Assurance is a nonprofit community blood center that supplies our Middle Tennessee area hospitals. Please find it in your heart to donate. Be someone's hero today. Go to bloodassurance.org to find a location or blood drive near you. That's bloodassurance.org. Give blood, give local, save lives with Blood Assurance.
Since their doors opened in 1898 in England, Arkansas, Bank of England Mortgage has been providing down-home exceptional service. Bank of England's success is due to the talent of their loan officers and their access to hundreds of mortgage products at the industry's best pricing. Bank of England Mortgage has 3 Middle Tennessee locations ready to serve you. Go to BOE1214.com or call 615-823-1215. Bank of England Mortgage is a division of Bank of England Mortgage. Equal housing lender, member FDIC, NMLS 418-481.
Looking for a big diamond? Genesis Diamonds introduces our Elite Collection. All new for 2020. These are large, rare diamonds in the top 1% of the world. 3 carat, 4 carat, 5 carat, up to 10 carat precious diamonds for the most discriminating buyers who appreciate quality. Genesis owners travel worldwide, tapping a vast network of diamond cutters, carefully hand-selecting each of these remarkable diamonds. We invite you to view this premium collection of GIA-certified diamonds, rounds, cushion cuts, emerald cuts, even fancy colored diamonds in size and quality never before seen here. And to showcase these exquisite stones, only Genesis has the finest handcrafted rings from all the world-class designers. If 2020 is the year you're upgrading her original diamond, or you just want to go big for the first time, no need to travel to New York or Los Angeles or Antwerp. Genesis Diamonds' elite collection of large precious diamonds is here in Nashville. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes, Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Hockey fans, tune in to Robby and Rexrode every Wednesday morning at 9:30 for expert commentary on the Predators and the NHL with the Preds beat writer from The Athletic, Adam Vingan. Brought to you by the Bank of England Mortgage.
Sometimes their glass is half full.
That was unbelievable. It was the best NFL draft they've ever had.
Sometimes glass half empty.
What are we getting ourselves into here? Tough game.
And sometimes it's all about the numbers.
1 win, and they've gone on this streak, and now they're at 500.
Hang out with Darren, Donick, and Chase from 10 to 2 during your workday. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Watch live on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube.
You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 1025 The Game.
Welcome back in. Final segment of the day here on Robby and Rexrode, brought to you by Little Guys Movers. Here's your chance to be your own boss. Join their team of 30-plus years of profits and good times. Visit littleguysfranchise.com. Robbie Stanley alongside Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Monday morning. Joe Rexrode has taken off for the day. He'll be back 6 a.m. tomorrow, traveling to the airport down there in Florida. So good stuff from Rexrode. And now the real co-host is in here, Michelle.
And now we make fun of Joe.
That's what we do when he leaves.
So he's at his grandma's, and those videos that I just sent to you guys, when he would mute and you would talk, Robby, we were watching on the Zoom here, and he would take his headphones out and he was like, "Sorry, Grandma, you can talk now."
Oh yeah, this is awesome. It's good stuff. By the way, it looks like the defending Super Bowl champion LA Rams are pulling from the Kentucky Wildcats. The offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen, looks like he's about to be joining the Rams as their OC up there in LA. So people are picking from the Wildcats today.
Thanks, McVay. That's a big loss for Kentucky football. It'll be interesting to see who they hire, actually. I feel like it's such a weird time, too, we were just talking about coaching movement. Like, we're already in February.
Yeah, it's late in the game. I don't think there's any question. Like, I mean, the offensive coordinator, as you know, in football, and especially college football, it's pretty darn important. And Kentucky looked pretty good last year on that side of the ball. So I'm interested to see what they do there. Speaking of Kentucky, big win for your Cats against Alabama over the weekend. I know you were thrilled.
Robbie, I was really nervous because when Elijah and I were hosting courtside Saturday morning, we were talking about the loss over your Vols and saying how, Ty Washington looked like he got hurt, unsure if him or Savio really were going to play. And then we found out on Twitter during the show that both of them weren't practicing in pregame warmups. So then your starting backcourt's out. And then if Alabama goes off and is just shooting threes left and right, which they did the first half, I'm like, oh, goodness, this is going to be rough. But they came out with a win. I would say that was probably one of their best wins, obviously, other than the Kansas one, the Tennessee one earlier this year. It was pretty impressive to see Davion Mintz and other guys on the team step up, and they're going to need that, especially if these guys aren't healthy until tournament time, which kind of seems like they might not be.
Well, and Cal, he might shut him down until tournament time. Like, he was basically like, I got to have these guys healthy for March, was what he was talking about the other day. And to get that win without those two guys was pretty impressive. So we'll see how they can respond with maybe those two guys being back in the lineup coming up down the stretch here. You watched the NBA All-Star game last night. What'd you think?
Robbie, I know how you feel about them. All-Star games in general. Obviously, there's no defense being played, but I thought it was the game itself. I watched it like at a restaurant, at a bar, so I wasn't listening to it all, but just watching the offensive performance from Steph Curry. I sent you guys a stat. He had 16 3-pointers, shooting from the logo, turning around as soon as the ball just leaves his hands, just goes in. He had 16 3-pointers, more than every starter on both teams combined.
Pretty good.
And Ja Morant, he had some sick highlight reel dunks in there. Look him up. And then they also did the NBA 75 greatest players tribute, and they had everybody was there. And it was just pretty incredible to see all the legends. They took a class picture of all of them. I kind of want to go back and watch it now. And all of the behind-the-scene videos from the NBA, and it's like Jordan's talking crap to Magic of, hey, let's go play one-on-one, wear your sneakers, and all this stuff. I just love old school basketball, so that was really cool to see. A little addition to the game itself.
Yeah, ESPN has put out like their own ranking here, and they've got like their own, I guess, top 75. Jordan at 1, LeBron at 2. I don't think surprised anybody. I had to stop myself because I got mad at this list earlier. They got Chris Paul ahead of Dwayne Wade, which I just think is
Robbie, we both don't like that. Hey, D-Mace. D-Mace just walked in. Our guy D-Wade, he just doesn't get enough love, I swear.
No, he doesn't. But I'm sure the All-Star game was fun. I can't do it. I can't do the no defense thing.
What about the dunk contest? What about
awful, absolutely terrible. They need to scrap the dunk contest. Like, nobody's in it anymore. Like, Ja Morant doesn't do it. LeBron's never done it. Like, they have guys that nobody's ever heard of doing the dunk contest. If you told me that like LeBron, like, he's old enough, he's too old now, so he's not gonna do it. But like, if Ja Morant was in there, I'd watch it. But it kind of feels like all the big time guys in the dunk contest are scared to death to do it, because everything that you can do in a dunk contest at this point has essentially been done. So like, nobody wants to do it. So you've got guys, trotting guys out there that you never heard of before. Like, if they could get their stars to do the dunk contest, I would love it, but nobody wants to do it anymore.
No, that's fair. I mean, Obi Toppin was out there, but obviously, like, to see a Ja Morant out there, even the dunks Ja was doing in the game. He had Trae Young lobbed it. He did the 360 one, another one from the charity stripe. But you just don't think Ja does it because...
nobody does it. It's not like not just him. Like I don't want to turn into like old man yelling at the cloud and like going back to the 80s of Michael Jordan in the dunk contest.
Vince Carter.
But like the last 10, 15 years, nobody bigs been in the dunk contest because I guess they're just afraid that they're going to look stupid out there. I don't know. I don't know why they won't do it, but the fact that LeBron never did a dunk contest honestly kind of just upsets me.
Yeah. I don't really get it. Like, Bron, get out there.
I don't understand what's going on there. Like, I would love to see Ja Morant do it. Now, the thing with Ja Morant is he's also been apparently dealing with some ankle soreness as well. So I'm not necessarily surprised that he didn't get out and do, like, he only played, I think, 18 minutes in the game last night, which is the fewest amount of anybody. So I think he's dealing with kind of an ankle thing right now. So good on him for showing up and playing anyway. But the NBA, to me, the NBA dunk contest is dead. Like, they either need to find a way to get their stars involved in it or scrap the thing altogether.
That makes me so sad. No, but I know what you mean. The dunks are incredible, but the fact that they're just middle-level NBA guys doing it, you imagine the what if. But even just having Ja Morant, I mean, that's so big for Memphis. I was talking to Elijah about this, how Memphis lucked out so much when the Pelicans went with Zion, who has done nothing just because he's been injured and hasn't been playing and all that down in New Orleans. Ja Morant, if you can get out to a Memphis game, I've been to 2 so far this year, absolutely incredible to watch and is a real contender in the MVP conversation.
Oh, he's absolutely in that conversation. Thomas texting in says, how about Myles Garrett doing the windmill duck in the celebrity game? That was cool. That was pretty awesome. The fact that Myles Garrett at his size can do a windmill dunk is pretty
yeah, that was sick. That was sick. I love the celebrity game, honestly.
Andrew from the Borough texting in says, Zach LaVine versus Aaron Gordon, one of the best dunk contests ever. Yeah, it was great. But most of the time, like this year, the dunk contest is a complete flop. Like, you got to get your stars back in there. And I don't think it's ever going to happen again at this point because, I mean, again, we're going on 10, 15 years of them not being in there. Like, Vince Carter was the last real star that I remember doing well in a dunk contest. And
stuck his arm in the ring.
Ago? Yeah, it's 20 years ago.
Hamidou Diallo a couple of years ago he had the Superman with his whole arm in the hoop. That was pretty sick, but I just remember that specific dunk. You know, you don't remember like the whole thing itself. You remember moments from it.
You know, Blake Griffin jumping over the Kia or whatever. Like, that was cool, but it's few and far between. And that's the other thing. Like, what more can you do at a dunk contest now that's not already been done? I mean, I'm sure people could think of something like, you know, I forget who it was that put the cupcake on the top of the rim, blew out the candle and dunked it. Like, there's creative stuff that you can do with it, but it just kind of feels to me like you're getting closer and closer to the point where if you're Adam Silver in the NBA, you got to look around and say, all right, if your stars aren't going to be in it, what should we do with this thing? I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority.
No, but also too, Robbie, like the push to postseason. What are you going to try something extremely crazy in the NBA All-Star dunk contest, then risk also getting hurt?
Exactly.
And you're going into the playoffs like, oh, well, we just lost Ja Morant, our best player.
Yeah, like, I understand why they don't do it. Like, I wouldn't want to put myself at, you know, injury risk either. It's just, it's not the same without the big guys in there. But that's my old man yelling at the cloud moment today. Michelle,
Robbie
that's going to do it for us today.
Games.
I do hate All-Star games. There's no question about it. We'll be back 6 a.m. tomorrow. Darren Donica Chase up next. This is ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Your speaker at home is so smart that even Alexa knows where to find Nashville's best sports